Attention everyone. Please do not announce in the comments section that you are attracted to Zen. This has been a recurring issue. I do not know what people with underdeveloped social skills think it's okay to go on about how cute or hot Zen is in a subreddit full of strangers who do not need to know that no one is going to be impressed or give you a high five. If you are attracted to furries, that is fine, as long as it does not include the follow real animals, dead people, family members, children, and adults who did not give consent or are drunk, high, on drugs, asleep, or knocked out. If you say this, then you outed yourself as a gooner, and you could be uploaded to a cringe subreddit. Thank you. I made sure to keep in all the typos.
Monkey. I gotcha. Yes. All right.
Oh, man.
Perfect way to start off this episode of Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Hal, and with me here today on this Kung Fu Panda themed episode, I got Yinsed, I got What's-Her-Face. How you guys doing?
Hello to you
Hi,
too,
I'm
Hal.
Yinsed, and today we're going to talk about movies that are better than Citizen Kane.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, no, just so we're on the same page here. 3 movies that are better than Citizen Kane and also Kung Fu Panda 4.
I can live with that statement.
Okay.
Hi, Yinsed. Hi, Olivia. I'm just kidding. I remembered your name.
What's her face?
Yeah.
What kind of friend are you?
At this point, I'm just
Hi,
doing it
Barbies.
because I know it. It makes her laugh. So yeah, I just do it. I just do it to antagonize you. I don't actually forget your name. So well, let's talk about something that's truly unforgettable. The first Kung Fu Panda movie. Because it's a Kung Fu Panda episode. We might as well start with the first movie, Kung Fu Panda, 2008. I love this movie. Controversial take. It's pretty freaking good. So.
Wow, Hal, you're gonna get destroyed. But yeah, Kung Fu Panda one of the best DreamWorks movies. I will say that I think it's probably out of the 3. I don't even want to say like weakest or least favorite. I'd say like least of a masterpiece for me, because even like then, like the fact that I consider this one to like barely be the weakest really does show like how strong this overall trilogy is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely of the opinion that this is my favorite, but even still, like I feel like I was more confident in saying it's my favorite above 2, like last rewatch, but this rewatch, I feel like they're just neck and neck. But I feel like I do prefer this one the most, just by like a hair. Olivia, where do you stand?
I think, yeah, it's definitely absolutely a masterpiece. And I think in terms of all 4 of them, I guess, I think 2 is my favorite. I mean, we can get there when we get there, but I'll just say right now, number 1 is still, I believe, is a freaking masterpiece.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so like, what's one of the biggest reasons why this like works for you guys? Yinsed, why don't you start? Like, what about this like really speaks to you?
Well, I think the most obvious thing that you can praise would definitely be the animation, the action sequences, but even just like when like it comes to like the actual like character designs and aesthetic, I think it really does hold up by modern standards, because I feel like it took a little minute for DreamWorks to like really find their footing with that realism aspect. Like even when it comes to like a lot of the stuff that came before and even some of the stuff that came afterwards, it does kind of feel dated by today's standards, but I think a lot of it really does hold up, especially with the action sequences, like the animated fur. It all looks amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, and for
absolutely.
2008 especially.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think the animation, I think it has held up exceedingly well, except I think there's probably like 1 or 2 shots where I think maybe in today's like day and age it might have been rendered a little bit better, but it still looks amazing.
Yeah, I feel like with me in the animation, we're just going around, but like no, it's one of those things where like I remember watching like the first few minutes where it's like in that interesting like 2D animation and thinking like, oh, this kicks ass. and then he transitions into 3D, and you think it'd be like, oh, I guess this is going to be a bit of a downgrade, but it's not. Like, the 3D animation is just as good because, you know, you get these expressive characters, and you get these really beautiful like landscape shots. Like, it really like, oh my god, the Jade Palace on like the mountain, like it's enormous, you know. I think it looks beautiful every time I see it. It's amazing. And it's interesting that you say, like, I think, yeah, Yinsed, you'd said like it has that like realistic look to it, and yeah, I think it really works, unlike something like The Good Dinosaur, which that was trying to go for more realistic backgrounds. And
no, it was simultaneously trying to go for a more cartoony appeal and a realistic appeal, and it just didn't mesh all that
right,
well.
Exactly. Whereas I feel like this one does, because the cartoony aspects, you know, kind of are in the form of these animal characters doing kung fu. Like, that's pretty cartoony, not gonna lie.
What? No way.
Well, no, that's another thing that I wanted to point out, because conceptually, yes, it is very cartoony to have like animals doing kung fu, but they do take it very seriously in regards to like the fight choreography, but there's still comedic aspects of it, which like makes for a good balance that like you are able to get invested in it as a premise.
Well, that's the thing, is like, I remember, I think it was like Nostalgia Critic who had said like, oh, this is such a wacky concept. I remember when I first...
Always comes back to Nostalgia Critic.
I know. But it's true. It's
DreamWorks Ueri video.
I think it was his DreamWorks Ueri video, where he talked about how, like, he's just like, oh god, Jack Black is a panda. Like, how am I supposed to take this seriously? And I guess it never really clicked with me as a kid. Like, you know, as a kid, when I saw this, I was just like, yeah, Kung Fu Panda. Cool. Like, it never really occurred to me that was, quote, stupid, you know? So it never really, like, got to me, like, why people were shocked that this Kung Fu Panda movie was, like, as good as people thought it was. But, as we'll get into with later on, I guess I kind of get it now. But I guess with this one, yeah, it did finally click with me, where I'm just like, okay, this is a wacky concept. You wouldn't expect it to have like these deep themes or like this way of taking it seriously, because it does have some really poignant things for being aimed at a younger audience, especially with, like, you know, the stuff Oogway says. It's just like, oh, it got me being like, wow, that's really insightful. And it is beautiful.
No. Yeah, no, and the best part about it is that it feels very universal when it comes to expressing those ideas. Like, they can be understood by both kids and also adults.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is why I think one of the reasons why I do think it still holds up.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about Secret of Nim in the last episode, and like, I was rewatching it, and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff in this where I'm like, I would be surprised if a kid got any of this, like, because it gets really fucking dark and really heady. Whereas I feel like this movie, even as a kid, even though I didn't understand a lot of what it was going for, I still, like, understood it on some sort of level, and I still enjoyed the movie overall because it's a well-crafted story. So I really think this movie, out of all the movies, including 2, I feel like this one has a better balance of that. I feel like 2, I love 2. I feel like its darker elements don't really balance out with the comedy aspects. I think both those aspects are great. I just don't think the balance is as strong as this movie, though. And I think that's why I prefer this over all the other ones.
That's understandable.
Yeah. I think, especially with the philosophical themes and stuff, I think it just gets better the older you get.
Yeah.
Age is
definitely.
like 5.
Yeah, it's very similar to, like, kind of like with regards to, like, Megamind, where a lot of the themes, like, there's still elements that you can get out of it, like the basic idea of a panda going from, like, this, like, guy from humble beginnings, complete outsider, no knowledge of kung fu, to becoming a hero. That's something I think kids can latch onto. But then you have things like the imposter syndrome, the things like trying to deal with the adversity and having nobody really believe in you based on your physical appearance, or like some aspect of it that makes you think you're not going to be capable to rise up to this task. Like, that's stuff that I feel like you would definitely get more out of as an adult once you've had like a little more life experience and you've like somewhat can relate to that.
Definitely.
Yeah. I do have a question though. Do you guys remember when you saw it in theaters?
I never saw it in theaters.
I didn't see it in theaters, actually. I do have very vague memories of when I first saw it. It was on TV. I was 4 years old. We had just watched it on the TV. And it wasn't on DVD. It was like, there was like this cable service where they had like movies you could rent.
Oh, like on demand?
Based on it. And then Kung Fu... Yeah, on demand. Yeah, that's what it was called. And then we had...
I'm living in the generation where on demand is a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I grew up on demand. You're good now. You're good.
Yeah, no, we both grew. We're 2000s kids. We grew up on it for a little bit, but yeah.
Sorry, continue.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying that basically we had rented it on demand. I was 4 years old. Interesting thing I will say about this show, just a random side note. I didn't realize that Viper's name was actually Viper, so I just called her Snake for like 3 years straight before I realized, oh, her name is Viper. I didn't realize that.
That's a different DreamWorks character.
Yeah, no, thank God I did that before, like long before the bad guys came out. But yeah.
Yeah. As for me, the first time I watched it, I don't know if it was within the same year it came out or maybe the year after, but like I used to have a neighbor who would like show movie nights in his backyard, and he would like project them onto his house. Like he would like close all the blinds in his house and like project it on there. And I remember, I'm pretty sure that was the first time I ever watched Kung Fu Panda was like at his house. And I remember watching it and just so I guess it was kind of a theater experience because it was on a big screen. But I remember just being like, oh, this is really fun. Like I remember my dad had like a lot of fun with it too. So like that was it didn't quite click with me that this would be something special later down the line, but I think over time through various rewatches, that's when it started to grow on me, started to really connect with me a lot more and more.
I have a question for both of you. Because the action is definitely one of the biggest standouts for this movie, I'm curious as to what each of your favorite action sequences in this movie are.
Tai Lung escape and bridge scene are tied. But you know what? No, I'm going to say Tai Lung escape scene because, oh my God, I need to talk about this. So,
okay,
while I was
curious. I'm all ears.
Well, so while I was watching it this time around, there was this one part. It was the part where they're like shooting the giant arrows at Tai Lung, and he just and he just like takes one and he like kicks it and it like flies back. And I remember going like, whoa, like audibly said, whoa. And
yeah, no, here's the thing. I will say about this, even though I think the bridge scene barely edges it out just because of how tense it is and like how creative it is with the Furious Five's powers. That individual shot with the arrows is my favorite individual shot in the whole movie.
Oh, dude, I know which one you're talking about.
That's
yeah,
the one
like
I thought you were talking about at
thousands
first.
of. No, that's a really cool shot. The thousands of arrows and they're all like red. Yeah, no, that's great. No, I'm talking about like one of the giant arrows and he like kicks it back. Like that's when I was like, whoa, or like, cause like I audibly said, whoa. And I say that in other martial arts movies. Cause I've, within the past couple of months, I've watched Police Story and Police Story 2, the Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah.
And like those and other Kung Fu martial arts movies we've watched on various wheel nights, whenever there's like a really cool stunt, I'm always just like, whoa, like, I'm like, audibly like it's my way of going like, how did they do that? But I said that during an animated movie where they can do whatever they want with these characters. Yeah, it's a computer model, but I'm still treating it as if it was like Jackie Chan or Michelle Yeoh, where I'm just like, whoa, how did they do that? Like, like it really, like, it was such a small thing, but like it really made me think about that, how like the action in this movie is that good, where like it's impressing me, even though I know these are animated characters, they can do whatever they want, but like that, like, oh, it's still I'm still like honing in on like, oh, like how did they do that? Like how, like I'm questioning the skills of the martial artist rather than the skills of the animation.
I think for me, the action scenes and the soundtracks go hand in hand. So if I think of a particular moment in an action scene, I'll think of the cue it came with. So I think my favorite part would be it's during the Tai Lung escape when Tai Lung is already like he's already like basically at the entrance of the guards, and they're basically having that stare down. And I don't know, it's so good even though it's only like 5 seconds long. And then I also love the bridge scene when the Furious Five are making like their last, final blows to Tai Lung, and the music plays the like main leitmotif, and it's so good.
One of my favorite bits of fighting has got to be when Viper has like Tai Lung's arms like trapped, and she's like making him punch himself. Like that sequence where I'm just like, oh, that's her being a snake, being a viper, like using that to her advantage. Like I just really love the details like that, where like these characters are using what they have to their advantage.
And the main thing I associate with the main leitmotif in the bridge scene is when Viper is riding off like Monkey's shoulders and like leaps off his arms.
Yes,
so
cool. that's also an amazing shot right there. Yeah. Like the fact that it's done in slow motion too really adds to the intensity. Another thing that I really noticed a lot more on this most recent rewatch would be the sound design in a lot of the fight scenes. Like one thing that I think of in particular is the scene right where Tai Lung breaks free. You really feel it like with the way like the audio is mixed, like feel like that breath of fresh air, and then you like feel that heavy breathing. It's a really like adds to like the intensity of it a lot.
Definitely, yeah. Tai Lung in general, man. Can we talk about Tai Lung in general, like as a villain?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I feel like I don't know, maybe this is just me and my perspective. Like, I don't think I've seen as many people talk about Tai Lung in the same vein as other DreamWorks villains. Again, that might entirely be me, because rewatching Kung Fu Panda, I'm like, this guy rocks. Like, this is a great villain for a movie. Like, let alone a Kung Fu Panda movie, just a movie in general. He's a great villain.
Well, yeah, part of the reason why I think he stands out for me a lot is the fact that he's still, even though he does like a lot of really irredeemable stuff, he still has a sympathetic and understandable backstory. Yeah. But the movie doesn't ever use that as an excuse to try and make him be good, but it still makes for a compelling antagonist that you're very like frightened of because of his physical abilities, but you also like have a lot of empathy for, because when you think about it, he trained his entire life to be the Dragon Warrior. And I do think that a part of why he turned out the way he is on the fault of Shifu, because he groomed him, like, in a sense, to like kind of be an egotist, feeling like he was entitled to this. And when he didn't get that that position because of Oogway, it made him like go completely berserk, realizing like, no, this is mine. Like, I worked so hard for this. And I do think that while I 100% agree that Tai Lung is responsible for his outrage, laying waste to the city, I do think part of that falls on Shifu because of the way that he was raised. And I do think that it does give some level of empathy. And it's why I think the scene where he apologizes to him after that, also amazing fight scene between the two of them, is really powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And it oh god, yeah, you feel bad. You really do. Like, obviously he's the villain 100%. You're just like, yeah, no, he has to be defeated. But there is that sense where you're just like, yeah, and the baby, like the whole like when he's fighting Shifu in the flashback.
I know I shouldn't be laughing at that, but I always kind of chuckle whenever I see that scene.
I mean,
he's charging at him and there's like the baby.
Yeah, the baby, and then he's just like, I can't punch a baby. It is funny, but it is heartbreaking. Like I think that's, again, a testament to this movie's balance. Like, that shot is both really funny and really heartbreaking too, because it's just like, damn. And then of course, Oogway gets him with the fucking finger touching, like, whoa.
Chi blocking,
that's so
basically.
Cool. Chi blocking, yeah, that's what it was. But
yeah, sort
of. Oh yeah. No, well, I just want to also mention like Tai Lung's voice performance, Ian McShane, like, oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Like,
yeah, I think where it really stands out for me would definitely have to be the dialogue where he's like, everything I did it to make you proud. Like, I've seen this movie so many times, and I got like legitimately kind of emotional when I was like hearing that, because like it really is tragic, and Ian McShane sells like every single line.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a great marriage between a good voice performance and great animation on the character. Like, the look he gives when Shifu apologizes for like that split second.
He compliments his design so well.
Yeah, the split second of just like little remorse, but then he's just like, never. He just goes and almost kills Shifu. Yeah, little JK. It's. I love the split second reactions with the first two villains. Like, we'll get to Shen later on, but like, I don't know. I just love those little moments of. I want to say humanity, but they're all animals, so like, does that still count? Like,
yeah, no, that's kind of it's kind of weird when you're talking about anthropomorphic animal movies in general, because you're so like, you're gonna subconsciously say people, but you're like, wait a minute, these aren't humans, they're animals.
Yeah. They're animals, a lot of them.
That'd be like a little bit. Yep.
So, sorry, Olivia, you were gonna say something?
Okay, speaking of chi blocking, in other words, speaking of Avatar, he's kind of a firebender and earthbender when you think about it.
Oh, that's right, because during his fight with Shifu, he like has the fire fists.
Yeah, and then he flicks his wrist and then it just disappears. And then also at the beginning, he lifts like a huge boulder. I watched the scene. I don't know how he somehow levitates an entire boulder and then kicks it.
Yeah, I do know what scene you're talking about.
But unfortunately, he doesn't make his own fire, which makes him one of the sucky firebenders from the last Airbender movie.
Yeah. We do not speak of that movie.
Everyone knows.
We're talking about good movies on this episode.
Everyone knows Kung Fu Panda is the best live action Last Airbender, even though it's not live action. But I mean, you're not going to disagree with me on that.
No, for sure. Although I will say, Liv, we do appreciate you for taking one for the team and watching the Netflix series for us.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know how this obviously bad idea turned out to be a bad idea.
I'm gonna make a video on the series. I haven't finished all the episodes yet, but yeah. At least Daniel Day Kim is good. Anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's go back to talking about good things. So we talked about Thailand.
Yeah, I will say, I'm surprised that we've gone this long without actually talking about our main character, because that's like the main thing I'll usually cite when it comes to like why I love this trilogy so much.
Is Poe.
I absolutely adore him. He's like genuinely one of my favorite protagonists in all of fiction, and I don't say that lightly. But like, we'll get some more on why in the like second and third movie in particular, but the journey he goes on in regards to fulfilling this role in his own unique way, I just find that to be very inspirational.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
To think that while they were writing him, he was supposed to be more cocky instead of a fanboy, and I think that would have ruined the whole movie.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, because the fact that he is a fanboy, like, it's a really sympathetic aspect of his character, because relatable. You understand that, like, even though he doesn't have, like, the physical prowess, he's still admirable of Kung Fu as an art form, and it makes you want to succeed and to see him succeed in that role, even though he, like, you see, like, in the training sequences when he's trying to do all of the different obstacles, you want to call them, like the Tortoise of Wisdom, or like that gigantic thing where the fire's shooting out, and like he just fails miserably at that. And it's like, you do really feel bad for him, because like he's passionate, but he's not like the most good at it.
Yeah, where I feel like, if he was cocky, like, you wouldn't feel bad for him. You'd just be like, yeah, you get what you deserve, asshole. Whereas I feel like the comedy comes from the fact that he pretends to be cocky, because he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna punch this punching bag. He just does his like Jack Black quips. But like, I feel like that is his character, is like,
yeah. And the more the reality of what the situation is, like what the expectations are, the more he like starts to really like become more vulnerable and like emphasize like, no, I don't really know I can do this, because of his imposter syndrome. Like, he's so like perplexed at the idea that he has like to raise this impossible task that nobody else and even he doesn't think he can live up to.
Right. Yeah.
And it like makes the drama with him and Shifu so interesting to follow because neither of them really know what to do until they like kind of meet each other at like they're like finally come to a place of understanding where Shifu realizes, oh, I can train you in the art of Kung Fu. I just have to do it in a way that's different from the tradition. And we'll get some more on that when we talk about the third movie specifically.
And
but I do... No, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I feel like the other thing with Poe is that he's one of those, genuine miracles and where a famous celebrity character, celebrity voicing an animated character fits so well. Like Jack Black.
He was born for that role.
Yeah,
this is the movie that like made me fall in love with him as an actor. Like it's such an iconic performance. Like I really cannot see this character working like with. It's very rare for me to say that he is like destined, like one of a kind. Like he was absolutely made for this.
I did
role.
hear
like,
it's his favorite role.
Everything from the
yeah.
That I buy. Yeah. Well, yeah, I remember
like everything about it, from the style of comedy to like even the dramatic bits. Like it all just works beautifully, and it really shouldn't when you think about it, because like you would think that someone like that would be like a protagonist like that would be kind of annoying, but it's done in a way that's very enduring with the enthusiasm that's present in the vocal performance.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, Jack Black, it does succeed where many other actors would not just in the fact that he's like giving a vocal performance when he's usually a live action actor, but the fact that like he is this kind of like quippy, kind of like Lil Tyrandomzords kind of character. He's just like always joking, always be trying to be funny, and you'd think that would get annoying. But the fact that it's Jack Black, a person who we know can actually comes across as genuine whenever he's being like kind of this silly goofball, like it totally works. Like Poe never got annoying to me. Maybe in the fourth one, but we'll get to that. But like here, it works.
Okay.
No, but like.
Okay,
going back to your...
I can't really imagine anybody else in this role other than Jack Black.
For sure. I actually have a fun fact to share with both of you. So you know how he's also in like a comedy musical duo called Tenacious D. Yep. They did the song at the end credits of the fourth movie, Baby One More Time. His partner in that, Kyle Gass, he actually makes a cameo in the movie. You know when he's climbing up the stairs for the first time, and then there's these two pigs that say, "Sorry, Poe, we'll bring you back a souvenir." One of them is Kyle Gass. I just thought that was
I've always wondered which character he played, because I know he's on the cast list on Letterboxd, and I'm just like, well, of course he's in a Jack Black movie, but like which character? Right. I never knew which character he was. Okay, he's one of those guys. Got it.
And then Hal, going back to your point about him pretending to be cocky, I wrote in my notes that one of his lines is when he's like trying to, pick a fight with that inflatable thing before he gets punched, whatever. He says to it that you've never seen Bear Style, and I like that it refers to the fact that the Furious Five and their Kung Fu are after the respective animal styles of Kung Fu, especially Poe.
Yeah,
because Mantis is like Mantis style, Tigress is Tiger style, and then Poe is Bear Style, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
And then I also like that even despite all this, he's like one of his main characteristics is that he's naive and dopey, and everyone kind of, assumes that about him. But I think we kind of should give him more credit, because I also wrote that, the fact that he's aware of his encounter with Crane being awkward, and that, the scene of Shifu trying to make him quit, like he was able to pick up on that. And I always like that detail. Like he's not completely an idiot.
No. He's passionate, like he says, like
he just has a lot to learn in regards to like how a lot of this works and the real like the gravity.
And he's willing to learn. I think that's a great character trait.
Yeah, he's especially in the second movie was where I think he like that reality really starts to sink in. But still in this first movie to an extent.
I just really find it fascinating watching a character willing to learn. Like I think that makes for a really interesting story. And the conflict should come through other things, not that the character has a gigantic ego. Like, again, I'm still on the part where you guys said, like, originally he was supposed to be cocky, and I'm just thinking, like, the movie would be awful if that happened. Like, oh,
yeah,
it hurts.
Like, it would be so much
Basically
worse.
Been Shark Tale.
Hey, Jack Black is in Shark
I'm
Tale.
aware of that.
He's Lenny. One of the only good things about that movie.
Are you
To be
implying
fair,
Shark Tale isn't a masterpiece?
To be fair, I haven't watched the movie in so
Hal,
long. So...
Hal, you forget it's race. It's not just bad. It's racist.
Listen, I'm contractually obligated to love that film till the end of time because of who my boss is.
I'm not.
Well, you're different.
No, you know me and James. I gave the bad guys a 9 out of 10. Yeah. I am by no means under any obligation to like anything he likes.
Exactly. You're not locked in his basement 24/7.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of bad guys, Hal, who do you think would win in a one-on-one, Viper or Mr. Snake?
Viper, because she's a kung fu master.
I think Viper. Viper has it in the bag.
And
I'm not just saying that because I like Lucy Liu more than I like Mark Maron.
The gadgets and the intuition. I think he can outsmart her. We'll continue this conversation.
Wait, hang on. I think she'd do the same thing what she did to Tai Lung and wrap herself around Snake and then make his tail punch himself.
How would that work?
He could probably like break
just
free
don't
though.
Think about too much.
Listen. We have to take into account that Snake. Okay, are we giving them prep time? Because if so, maybe Snake has a chance. But
yep. Well, okay. If we had prep time, Snake would win. If it was just like improv, then yeah, probably Viper. I think
I can live with that answer. Sure.
Okay, yeah. We don't have to keep this in the final cut, by the way. This was just like an impromptu thing that I.
No, I'm absolutely keeping all of that.
Your insight.
Okay, wait.
Okay, that's good.
Wait, hang on. I want to bring it back to. So I asked you guys whether or not you saw this in theaters, and I was hoping you guys would say yes because I figured it'd be more interesting than my story because I can't remember whether or not I did. I was 5 years old in 2008, so I was like a little too young to know for sure whether or not I saw it, even though I remember seeing Ratatouille and like Horton Hears a Who around that time. But I feel like I did because it was such a like thing with my uncle and aunt that I feel like I should have, but I can't remember if I did.
Because like when I was 5 or no, because like the earliest theater experience I can remember is The Incredibles, but I know I went to the movies before The Incredibles. I just have no memory of any of them.
Mine was apparently Happy Feet, but the earliest I remember is Ratatouille.
Yeah, my first theatrical experience that I remember was Toy Story 3, but I remember my mom telling me that when I was a baby, she took me to go see Raimi Trilogy Spider-Man 2, and it came out in 2000. So I was a literal infant, and like she had like the blanket covering my little seat that I was in. And I'm like, there's no way in hell that I would remember that. But like,
the story I always hear is that technically my first theater experience was Fantasia 2000 in 1999, but again, I was a literal infant. I remember none of it. Like,
yeah, no, me neither.
So.
But yeah, so Toy Story 3 is like the first one that I remember.
Right.
Okay,
wow, we all have... Well, actually, we don't have all Pixar films because you said yours is Happy Feet.
Yeah. Okay, and then...
Happy Feet!
My uncle...
That's rough, that's rough, buddy.
Listen, my uncle told me I was super in love with the movie, so I would like jump... Like, when we saw it in theaters, apparently I jumped out of my seat and started dancing, and then also... When I was little, I would call like the fuzzy socks you wear around the house Happy Feet socks.
Oh.
Maybe you can do like a remastering. Maybe you can do like a remastering like 15 years later.
Oh, the power of Happy Feet, man.
Oh, God.
Oh, I hate that movie.
But I also
anyway, good movie.
I wanted to bring it back to 2008 because the fact that it's a movie starring Jack Black and Dustin Hoffman when 2 years earlier they were both in the cinematic masterpiece. They were both in the cinematic masterpiece that is The Holiday.
I do remember that.
And what's super awesome about that is that Dustin Hoffman's cameo and that wasn't even planned.
But it still counts.
It was improv. I remember you telling us that when we watched it in the server.
Yeah. So yeah, should I explain it for those listening?
Please.
It's a peak scene. Okay, so in the cinematic masterpiece rom-com The Holiday, Jack Black is in... Jack Black and Kate Winslet are in a blockbuster, and Jack Black is basically trying to rizz up... he's a movie composer in the film, which, like, perfect character, by the way. He's basically humming movie scores to Kate Winslet, basically raising her up. And then he mentions The Graduate, and that's when Dustin Hoffman shows up and says, like, can't go anywhere. But I just think it's such a cool coincidence.
Yeah, they're in both movies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kung Fu Panda is better than The Holiday. I'll say that.
Well, I agree.
I agree. That was a Star Wars reference, by the way.
Was it?
I was trying to do a Yoda impression, Hal. Get over it.
Agree, I do.
Nah. That's one of the few times where he talks like normally in the.
Oh yeah, that's right. That would have been one of the. I mean, when you have lines like "around the perimeter," around the survivors, a perimeter create. It's just like George, take some liberties, man.
Let's not get into Star Wars now. We've talked about.
I know. Okay, yeah. Let's bring it back to Kung Fu Panda. Well, speaking of Jack Black playing a music composer in the movie The Holiday, let's talk about the music of Kung Fu Panda 1. Composed.
Holy crap. It is
composed by Hans Zimmer and John Powell. I was listening to it before we hopped on this call. Oh, mama. Like, wow.
Chef's kiss.
So good. So good. Okay.
Okay.
I know a couple episodes, me and Puff were shit talking Hans Zimmer, but we also we were shit talking Hans Zimmer because he's made.
Was that the Dune episode?
It was the Dune episode.
Yesterday.
Listen, we love the Dune soundtrack, but I'm just saying he also did music for The Boss Baby. Obviously his best movie.
Yeah, I remember them telling me, like, I kind of think Hans Zimmer's a little bit overrated. Yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, when you said, I'm like, yeah, no, that makes sense. I understand why they say
that.
But
for every Boss Baby, he has made The Dark Knight and The Lion King, and I would say Kung Fu Panda is one of those.
Like, he has written, like, some of the best film scores of all time.
That we can't deny. I'm just saying not every movie he's done is amazing. Again, Boss Baby.
I mean, he has a lot. He can't bring his A
No, of course not. Of course not. But anyway, this is one of the this is a good score. This is a great score, and I respect him.
What piece of music is each of y'all's favorites?
The Title Escape.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Okay.
Me too, for sure. Like, I listen to that on the regular.
Okay, Oogway Sense was actually like the first thing I learned on piano, because actually my piano origin story is that. Because, I mean, you guys know I play the piano, so my origin story was that... I had no idea. My origin story was that in freshman year of high school, I was in a graphic design class, but they all had, like, the instruments for band in that classroom. So during lunch, my friend and I would hang out there during lunch, and then the keyboard was there in the background, or, like, in the corner of the class, so during lunch, I'd just play on it. And I look up YouTube tutorials where it would show the notes playing on which key it would play in. And there was one for Oogway Sens. And I was like, okay, this sounds kind of cool. Oh, wait, playing it on the piano is super cool. Oh my gosh, playing the piano is super cool. I want to do this now.
And it just blossomed from there. Nice.
It was a canon event.
It was a canon event.
Yeah. Gotta sneak in a Spider-Verse reference every now and then.
And then also the like the soundtracks in general were really what made me like deeply appreciate the movies. Because of course I grew up with them when I was, growing up as a child. But then as a teenager, there's this podcast called, I think, The Rotoscopers, and they do just this series where they review different animated movies. And they did one on Kung Fu Panda, and they mentioned how good the soundtracks were. And I'm like, ooh, maybe I should listen to it. And I did. And I'm like, holy crap, they're amazing, and holy crap, I love this franchise now. So the soundtracks they're kind of important to me.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it's one of those soundtracks where like I'm every so often I'll like just listen to them on their own. And like I normally don't do that for like a lot of soundtracks, but like this is one that I'm like, yeah, I really do like putting this on in the background. It's one I do very frequently.
For me, the soundtrack, well, I guess this has nothing to do with Kung Fu Panda because this is not a soundtrack I put on. The soundtracks I put on is like The Dark Knight, Blade Runner 2049, or Drive. But
yeah, no, like most of the soundtracks that I put on like in my spare time like are animated stuff. Like really the first three in this franchise and a lot of Pixar scores, especially Michael Giacchino.
Okay, The Incredibles is one too. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, The Incredibles.
I have an entire playlist on Spotify of just my favorite scores that I listen to while I'm studying and editing. There's only a couple of them from Kung Fu Panda since I prefer them to be more calmer so I can actually focus. It's not more of the highly produced ones. I do love those, but they're just not good for editing. Because then I get distracted and then they come along.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Nah, The Incredibles is just one of those scores that just makes you go, Damn.
I played it. It was our marching band show when I was in high school, when I was a sophomore.
Ooh. Yeah, my brother played it in marching band for like one of a football game or something. I remember that.
That was so freaking sweet. Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
So, well, you guys have obviously been going on and on about your notes. Can I tell you the one note I took? So, I tried taking notes while watching these movies, and then it didn't work. And then I figured, well, they have lots of notes. No, it was mostly because I knew you guys would have a lot of notes, so I just. But there was one that I took, and I did tell you guys, I did find a genuine connection between The Dark Crystal and Kung Fu Panda. So, let me tell you. Co-director John Stevenson worked on The Great Muppet Caper, The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, and Little Shop of Horrors as a story artist.
Oh, dip.
Yeah. When I read that, I was like, no fucking shit. Like, wow.
Yeah, no, that's gotta be pretty cool.
Yeah. Anyway, that was my only note I took while watching all the Kung Fu Panda movies that I watched the past week or so.
One last thing that I wanted to point out for me.
Yeah.
This one detail, I really like the ambiguity present with the whooshy finger hold before the third movie came out. Where we never find out what exactly it does. I think that's a really creative thing to do with that concept.
Yeah.
Like building it up as like this really like super secret technique, and that being the thing that Po uses to defeat Tai Lung. We have no idea what happens until the third movie. But like, I liked the idea of it, like just having no idea what it actually does in the confines of this movie.
And even then, I feel like,
oh my gosh, like what is this thing?
Yeah, even then, even though I guess it is kind of explained in the third one, I still feel like the magic and the ambiguity is still there, though, because like I still don't really understand.
Yeah, no,
but
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, you're right.
I will say that in general, I feel like the less we knew about how death and the afterlife works in this universe, the better.
Yeah.
We'll get to that when we get to the fourth movie, but. Yeah, I still do agree that like the little mystery behind it is still interesting in the confines of that first movie.
Yeah, and it does lead to obviously the big line of the movie, Skadoosh, which is this franchise's equivalent of Yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, which I do appreciate.
And ka-chow.
Yeah.
And ka-chow.
If there was a shirt that just had Skadoosh in big white letters, I would wear that.
Yeah.
I'd wear that daily. I wouldn't wash it. Oh man, I'd have that be my flag.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I did take a handful of other notes, and I did make some other connections with some other movies. So
please.
So Jennifer Young Nelson, she supervised the action sequences, and then was also like head of story and director of the dream sequence. And she ended up being
that. Yeah.
Yeah, she ended up being the director for Kung Fu Panda 2. And then I noticed that Simon Wells was also like a supervisor for the action sequences. He co-directed The Prince of Egypt. And then Gary Truesdale, I don't know, was given special thanks. Yeah, Truesdale was given special thanks.
Gary Truesdale as in Beauty and the Beast / Hunchback of Notre Dame, Gary Truesdale?
Yes,
the Penguins and the Christmas Capered, Gary Truesdale?
Mad Past Penguins, the Christmas Caper, yeah!
I mean, giving special thanks to someone in the credits is kind of vague. I don't know what he did, but it was nice to see his name.
I mean, because like during the credits of The Lighthouse, they give thanks to Ari Aster, and it's like, well, what did he do? Yeah.
Well, sometimes they can do it like whenever a person dies. Like I know Beauty and the Beast is dedicated to Howard Ashman.
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between in memoriam and just special thanks.
Because I'm pretty sure Ari Aster is still alive.
Yeah.
Hold up, let me check just to be sure. So, something could have happened while we were recording.
Could you imagine? Oh my god.
Oh.
Okay, no, he's still alive. Okay,
very good. Knowing my luck, though, I would not have been surprised.
That would have been the funniest thing alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, continue with the notes, please.
Yinsed, do you want to begin? Because I have quite a handful of them.
Oh, no, I've more or less said everything I've wanted to say about this for the most part, but if you have anything else you want to add, go right ahead.
Okay. One of them I wrote was, the transition from Shifu to the snowy mountains makes me hum, do 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 It makes me hum Let It Go for some reason.
You know, we were having fun until now. Like, I'm just kidding.
I finally get that. I will say, I'm finally starting to get that feeling where it's like the stuff that you remember watching is like turning a decade old now, and you're like, is this what getting old? Is this what getting old feels like?
Yeah.
Hal, you're like 90, so I assume you have.
I'm
like,
only 72. Calm down there, young man.
Oh man.
And then something else.
But yeah, no.
And then something else I noticed, like the first thing I noticed while rewatching this movie is that you can see the what's the word? You can see Shifu like slowly transition to inner peace throughout the movie, because at the very beginning of the movie, when it's I think Zhen the goose, Zhang, he says to Shifu that like Oogway needs his help or something, so he's running to Oogway. And then as the movie progresses, he gets more calm and like gets more of his inner peace, because then Shifu tells Po to follow him, and that's when he leads him to the pool of sacred tears, and that's when Po was like, I know you're trying to be all mystical kung fu-y. So I can see how like throughout the movie you can see Shifu gaining more of that inner peace, and it just feels really natural.
Yeah, because like one of the first things he does is when he goes to see Oogway, and Oogway is like blowing out each individual candle, and then Shifu pulls a whole like move where like he's
an airbender.
He basically bends air, and he like gets like douses all the candles out, which really cool. But it just shows you the difference in their personalities at the beginning. Where like
okay, all right. So we've got an airbender, we've got an earthbender, we've got a firebender. Do we know if anybody like does anything? Does Po finding inner peace in the second movie count as waterbending?
All right, it's official.
Po and
we
Shifu,
have all four. We have all four airbenders in Kung Fu Panda. We did it, y'all.
We did it. We found something. We found something that is more respectful to the last airbender than Shyamalan.
More respectable of Avatar's source material than any of the live action nonsense.
Hooray!
Yippee!
We didn't even try.
Okay, and then another one of my favorite scenes is when Po is in the Hall of the Hall of Warriors, and he's just geeking out about all the special artifacts and stuff. And I really like the way the camera lingers at, I think it's the invisible trident of destiny, and the way he stares at it, and the camera lingers for like an extra 3 seconds.
I still, to this day, love the scene where he's just like the blade. Like I forget what he calls it. Like the
one where it's like where you can cut yourself just by looking at it. Like that gets me
every time. I think that's one of the funniest jokes in anything I've ever seen. Like that, I remember when I first watched it, I thought that was so funny because he's just like, "Ow!" without even touching it.
I'm pretty sure that's called the Sword of Heroes. I'm not sure. Let me see. Yeah, the Sword of Heroes.
A blade so sharp it could even cut you by just looking at ow.
And then I also love, I've only seen paintings of that painting. And I didn't think of it until I watched the movie then, but back in January I went to a Hokusai exhibit. He's the artist who did Great Wave off Kanagawa. It's like the giant wave. I mean, you know when you see it, but it reminded me of when I went there, and I got to see one of the original prints of that work of art.
Oh,
and
dude.
I didn't think of the connection before, and I wish I did, but watching the movie now, I was like, oh, I wish I was there to say it.
Well, that's the thing is, like, when you actually see the real thing, like, even if it's, like, disappointing, like, I don't know, just like seeing something that you've seen in like whether on the TV or in pictures or on the internet, and then you actually see it in real life, like there's just this feeling you get where you're just like, oh, that's the real thing. Like it's kind of like it's when I first saw the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. I remember being like, oh shit, like it's actually there. It's also a lot smaller than I thought, but I don't know. Maybe my expectations were so high after X-Men 3.
Sometimes you can be underwhelmed.
Just wait until you see
clear.
the Sleeping Beauty Castle at Disneyland.
Well, that I know. Like
I still need to go to Disneyland Live. I will get there eventually, but I'm a college student. I have no money. I'll get there eventually.
No, the last time I went to Disney World and I saw the Beauty and the Beast castle, and I was just like, oh.
Cinderella Castle.
No, I'm talking about the Beauty and the Beast castle that's in the park. I'm not talking about the Cinderella castle.
Wait, they have a Beauty and the Beast castle?
Are the are the Disneyland lines really that long? I need to know.
Yes.
I mean, it's Disneyland.
Peter Pan's flight will be like 3 hours long, even though the ride is boring.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, it's also because
it's probably gonna be a little
they also
minute
like
before I go.
people get boarded on like one at a time anyway, so that's why it's super long.
Yeah. But no, like there was like
stupid.
a Beauty and the Beast ride in Magic Kingdom, and there was like a and there was a recreation of the castle, and I'm thinking like, oh, the castle in Beauty and the Beast, it's so large, it's so cool, and so like creative. And then I actually go to I guess it's not the same thing because again, it's just a recreation of the castle, but there was still a bit of disappointment where I'm like, oh, it's not huge at all. This like I could like kick that thing over. But
I've only been to Disneyland and California Adventure, so I've never been to the Disney World.
You've never
parks.
been to the Florida one, yeah. The Florida one's the one I've been to the most, which is like 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh yeah, there was one other detail I had. It's actually something I've noticed for years. So when Shifu was yelling at Oogway after Posen is chosen as the Dragon Warrior, Shifu was yelling at Oogway for the fact that he's not the answer to, quote, their problem. And then in the background, you could see the 5 bowing, and you actually see them look up and like look at each other in alarm. And I thought that was such a cool detail.
Yeah, they're just like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have to add that detail, but I like it.
No, I love well, here's the thing. I always think of movies like this, or like, the animated movies we hold in such high esteem, it's in such high esteem. And then I compare that to when I see movies like, say, Marmaduke 2022, and I see how barren and detailless.
How many bad movies are we gonna list on this podcast?
I'm trying to make a comparison because that movie is so devoid of anything. Right. And like and I remember watching it and just being like, this is so empty. Like there's nothing to this. Whereas like, yeah, we're pointing out little details of like the characters doing something in the background. Yeah, like you say, they didn't have to put that in there, but they chose to.
But they did.
Whereas like in Marmaduke, they chose to do nothing.
Ugh.
I haven't seen it, Hal. I will take your word for it. I 100% believe you.
Than watch that movie.
Are you sure? You guys are missing out. You haven't seen the epic Star Wars joke it makes.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
I won't spoil it.
Like I care.
Well, I tried. Well, speaking of Marmaduke 2022, let's talk about another good movie, Kung Fu Panda.
Okay, I wanted to go back to how, you did mention how the animation in that movie is detailless, and then what I noticed in this movie, again, I feel like I notice a bunch of things every time I rewatch this movie, which is so cool, and it's that the lighting when Shifu and Tai Lung are fighting in the Jade Palace, and I like that the main source of light kind of comes to be coming from the floor. And it has that like radiant, like it's such a beautiful shade of blue, and obviously there shouldn't be a main source of light coming from the floor. Like of course it's unrealistic, but it looks cool, so who cares?
Yeah, who cares? It looks cool.
Yeah,
no. In general, aesthetically, I think these movies do a really good job with like color,
it's so
composition,
good. It's so
the
dynamic.
way everything's designed.
Especially in the second movie, but we're not there yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to talk about like the visuals in the second movie because like there's so much like in terms of thematically, but we'll get there when we get there.
Well, is there anything else to talk about with this? I mean, I'm sure there is, but like anything like real specific?
I think I pretty much said most of what I wanted to say about it.
Yeah.
I like the montage of Poe trying to get into the Jade Palace when he's locked out, and my favorite part is him just like sitting on top of the stairs.
Yeah.
He looks so
sad. You're just like, oh man, you just want him to get in there. He's so happy.
Yeah. Well, the thing I like about that sequence is like when his father eventually like catches up to him, and he's just like, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be selling the noodles." And then he's like about to light the chair, and it's about to explode, and he like prepares as if he's going to scream like as he's like launching, but it never happens. And I remember being really impressed by that as like a subversion. I'm like, that's actually really funny and really clever. Like, it was really funny.
And then right afterwards, like, it goes through the thing, and you'd think that would be an accident, but to quote Master Oogway,
there are no accidents.
No accidents.
There
And then
are
also,
no
how
accidents.
have we gone this far and not mentioned Mr. Ping?
Well, I mean, no, I feel like because in the second movie is where he really shines, but
I'd argue the third movie.
Well,
we'll
you know
get
what?
there when we get
You know
there.
what? I think
But-
he shines in all the movies. Is the thing.
He does.
Yeah,
He
no,
does.
like he's such a treasure. He's just such a likable
Yeah.
Gustav.
And he's so
That's really all
funny.
there is
The
to
thing
it.
that I love about Mr. Ping is
Yeah.
that, yes, he's a loving father, but he's also very passionate about his restaurant, and he
Yes.
really reflects. It really reflects in like his character motivations, where he's just like I love the idea that, you know, they're going to announce the Dragon Warrior, and Poe's like, oh, I got to go to that, and his dad is just like, instead of his dad being like, no, you can't go to that, you got to watch the shop or something, like something stupid like that. He's just like, yeah, go to see the Dragon Warrior, but
Just as
sell
long as you
noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah, just as long as you sell noodles. Like,
Yeah.
it's both
He's
really
an
funny and it makes sense for his
entrepreneur.
character.
He's trying to make sure that his business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Mr. Ping and James Hong, man. Like,
James
just like how
Hong,
we
I
can
love it.
imagine no other person
Every
playing Poe,
single
I can't imagine anybody else playing Mr. Ping.
Mm-hmm.
And if they make a Kung Fu Panda 5 and 6,
single...
I doubt James Hong is gonna live that long to play him. I
Don't
really am
jinx
not
it.
ready.
Don't jinx it.
Don't jinx
I'm not
it,
ready for a
Al.
Mr. Ping recast.
He's
I'm
going to
not ready.
I'm predicting it. He will make it to triple digits. I'm
He did
predicting
turn,
Okay.
I think,
I
like
really
93 or 95 a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
96, I think. Let me see.
And then he
Hold on.
also got his handprints. Like, he was able to get his handprints like cemented at the Chinese Theater in Hollywood a few weeks ago, which I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
I need to go visit it.
All right,
Yeah.
95. He just turned
Yeah.
95.
Happy birthday, man.
Yeah, so he's so good as Mr. Ping. And I think I remember reading somewhere that like Mr. Ping is like one of his favorite characters he's ever played, and it shows in the performance. Like, he's just
Yeah, no, for sure.
he brought it.
Every single thing about even in the fourth movie, James Hong just like delivers so much energy and life to him. Even though he like, even when he is like almost like pushing almost 100 now, like he still has so much energy in the
I
performance.
agree. Yeah, he was one of my favorite aspects, returning to every single thing I watched, every single Kung Fu Panda thing I watched, and he showed up. I was just like, yes.
Did you guys know he was friends with Mako,
Nice.
the voice of Iroh?
No, I didn't.
I didn't know that, but that sounds about right.
And I think they founded
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, but like I didn't know that he was
I think they founded like an Asian American theater company together back in the 60s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Which I just think it's really cool, like small world.
Yeah, small world.
yeah.
Mr. Ping and Uncle Iroh.
It's a shame that he passed away before this movie came out, because I'm sure he would have.
Oh,
he would have
yeah.
liked it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because he died in 2006. This one came out in 2008.
Yeah, he probably would have had a part in it. I don't know who he would have played, but I feel like he would have
That
had
would
a
have been
part.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I mean, if they got Jackie Chan in there, they'd probably get Mako.
Well, I mean, of course you've got to have Jackie Chan. If you're gonna make a parody / love letter to martial arts movies,
You gotta
like,
have Jackie
Jackie Chan is one of the most I will say, I do think they really underutilize him, because like Monkey
They
does
do.
not really have a whole lot of dialogue.
But even then,
in
Every
this
time
movie.
Monkey says something, I laugh because of
Yeah.
how out of place it is, but at the same, it kind of adds to it because Monkey is kind of a weird character that you can't really narrow down on. It's just like, who are you? Are you, because like by the third movie, and I noticed in a bunch of the shorts, they made Monkey the comedian, quote unquote,
Mhm.
which
I thought he
look,
was funny, honestly.
he is funny, but
Yeah,
I
no,
feel
he's
like
arguably like
I feel like the comedy comes
'Cause, like-
from Jackie Chan not really like caring in his performance, because that's the thing, is like I don't think Jackie Chan truly cares. Like, I like the guy, but you can definitely tell in something like Police Story where he's really passionate.
he's kind of the weak link in terms of like vocal performance, like voice acting.
but it's still funny to me, even though he is
Yeah.
the weak
Yeah.
link. Yeah.
And the fact,
yeah, I mean, like, you would kind of think that would be, like, Seth Rogen, because, like, yes, he's Mantis, and, like, you know how, like, he's kind of, like, everywhere now at this point.
Yeah.
He feels like an instance, like, I think he suits Mantis really well for what he is.
Yeah. For once, I'm okay with hearing Seth Rogen's voice. Does he ever do the Seth Rogen laugh at all as Mantis?
He does.
Does he?
He does, actually. Right when Poe falls down the stairs, and then Viper's like, he's not going to quit easy.
He's not going to keep bouncing, I'll tell you that.
He's not going to keep bouncing.
Yeah, I can't do the laugh. I
barely can do the laugh.
I'm not even going to attempt.
That's okay.
All right.
It is kind of sad that Jackie Chan was only in the recording booth for like 45 minutes to record his lines.
Yeah, but that makes sense.
He got paid well, though.
He did. And he delivered an awkward monkey performance. I'm very okay with that.
Right. I don't even really dislike Monkey. He kind of feels like the auxiliary member of the 5 for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think all the other 4, like, have, like, obviously they're not, like, in terms of, like, development for Poe, except arguably Tigress, we'll get to that. They all, like, bring their own, like, unique thing to the dynamic. Monkey just kind of feels like he's there for the most part.
I really like David Cross's Crane. Like,
oh yeah, he's good. He's
I mean, he's not in there a lot, but for what he brings, like, I really like what he brings.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Don't mention it. Ever.
Yeah, don't mention it.
Ever.
I do kind of prefer him as Minion, though, but that's also because he has more
everybody
screen time.
prefers him as Minion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you forget, Hal, his name is Old Sean.
Yinsed.
I'm joking. I just straight up when I made my video on Megamind 2, I just straight up refused to call. I'm not entertaining that. He is Minion. Yeah. I'm not letting the yellow pellets win.
Now look,
he will always be Minion.
I agree, but look, I'd love to talk about Megamind, but not yet, Minion, not yet.
Not yet.
But seriously, is there anything else to talk about with Kung Fu Panda 1 before I get into this DVD that I have of it?
I have the DVD as well.
Oh, is it the Kung Fu Panda Ultimate Edition of Awesomeness?
I have a DVD too, actually.
The what
For
now?
once, we all have a DVD of the thing.
You don't have the Ultimate Edition of Awesomeness?
No.
Because that's what I have.
Man.
It's a 2-disc thing. Oh, shit. So the DVD, because it's a DVD, it has 2 discs.
It only has 1.
Well, I'm kind of jealous because the second disc is like on this like rotating fucking disc holder thing that's like it's just terrible.
One of the super cheapy ones.
Yeah, and it's falling apart, and so I'm just gonna say it straight up. I'm not keeping this DVD because it's a fucking DVD, and I respect Kung Fu Panda so much that I need it on a higher scale. I think I heard recently it got on 4K. So
yeah, I told you guys.
Oh, that's right. That was you.
Yeah,
that was you.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can order it at some point.
I just looked it up to see, like, is there anything? And yeah, it came out, like, as we're recording this, it came out 2 days ago.
Well, shit, dog. We really
real quick,
we really did this justice.
Yeah, Hal, real quick, the double disc one that you have, does it by any chance have the Secrets of the Furious 5 short on there? Is that how you were able to watch that? Because I know you also watched some of the shorts.
It's interesting because, so it has all 3. It has Secrets of the Scroll, Secrets of the Masters, and Secrets of the Furious 5, plus an exclusive sneak peek of Kung Fu Panda 3. But my Kung Fu Panda 2 DVD has the exact same special features by having those exact same shorts and exactly saying with a special sneak peek of Kung Fu Panda 3. Those bastards made me buy the same DVD twice, just with different movies attached, I guess. But
now, what about your Kung Fu Panda 3?
Oh, that's on Blu-ray.
DVD. Okay.
Yeah, that's on Blu-ray. I'm just gonna spoil it right now. I'm keeping the Blu-ray version because it's fucking Kung Fu Panda 3.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you don't want it, like, I will gladly take it off because I only have 1 and 2 on I own 3, but I own it on digital, not physical. I want to get it at some point.
So, we'll get to Kung Fu Panda 2. But yeah, so the DVD, I mean, it looked fine, but again, I'd rather have it on a nicer Blu-ray or 4K in this case. So Yeah, I'm not keeping the DVD, but the movie itself belongs in the collection. Obviously, it's a fucking masterpiece. So,
Yeah.
I do want to mention my DVD. So, first
please
of all,
go ahead.
So, for listeners, the last time I was on the podcast was for Iron Giant and Princess Kaguya, and that was before I got a Blu-ray player. I got it from my aunt and grandma, so I wasn't able to watch those movies on physical, even though... Anyway, I finally got a Blu-ray player. I realized, holy crap, DVDs suck. I'm never going back to them.
Aw,
Even though
you're not going to own Memento on DVD?
No.
I guess that's just a me and Mordo thing. Okay.
Sorry. So
that's okay.
I do have the DVD, and I was actually surprised about how good it looked on a Blu-ray. It was a little stretched out because I had to modify it for, like, you know, my modern day flat screen or whatever. And then how you would like this. I was given this Kung Fu Panda DVD in a Raising Cane's.
In a Raising Cane's? Did it come with the chicken? Oh!
I got it from my friend who was going through their old DVDs in high school, and that was like the peak of my Kung Fu Panda phase. And he found it for me, and he's like, "Olivia, do you want it?" And I'm like, "Yes." So then after school, we would usually hang out at Raising Cane's and Target since they were in the same plaza. And then while we were in line, he gave it to me. So I was like, "Thank you."
Oh, wow. Look at that. Bringing it back to Raising Cane's.
And then this is for William. The back of the DVD has a quote from Leonard Maltin. What does it say? A delightful movie that can stand among the very best animated features.
I mean,
no Jay
that
Sherman,
sounds like...
so sorry, Mordo.
That sounds like Leonard, the Gorgo enjoyer himself.
And then it also says, another one of the quotes is Kung Fun from Gene Shalit
I
from
was
today.
just gonna say that's the thing on my DVD. It says Kung Fun from Gene Shalit, fucking Gene Scallop, fucking SpongeBob looking ass. He was on an episode of SpongeBob.
Oh really?
Yeah, he played Gene Scallop.
I like the bonus features are called secret ingredients.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that is cool.
I did watch the how to use chopsticks one just because I was curious. I mean, I know how to use chopsticks, but I was curious. It was super cute. It was like a little girl. Yeah, it was a narrator. And I mean, I already know how to use them, so. I do, I swear.
Okay,
it was like a 3 or 4 minute tutorial of a narrator, and it was this little girl being the kind of the example, like picking up food and like how to use it properly and like manners and stuff. And I thought it was super cute to add.
Yeah, no, I think more people need to learn how to use chopsticks because they're so much fun to use. Yinsed, you said you have it on DVD too?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's just the regular DVD. It's not on Blu-ray. I got it at a Goodwill. I got both of my 2 DVDs that I own at a Goodwill. They're like not like any like special edition stuff. I know like it has like the basic bonus features, but like it's not like 2 discs or anything. It's just a standard DVD.
Yeah. Honestly, even if a movie, I feel like, you know, we do put a lot of importance on special features. Obviously so, because if you're interested in figuring out like how the movie was made and stuff like that and having all these goodies, that's always that's all well and good. But sometimes the most important aspect is the actual movie that it comes with. So
right, for sure.
Yeah. So that's awesome that you guys have physical media versions of these movies. That's awesome.
I'm so glad I can finally be on this podcast again and actually talk about it, because that's something I regret about the Princess Kaguya one, the fact that I had the steelbook and I wasn't able to watch it.
Hey, come on. A lot of people come on the podcast and they don't have an extensive collection. You know,
I know, but I want to talk about physical media, and I finally am, even though I only have the first one.
Yeah, no, me too. I do want to like collect more of it at some point, but once again, I'm a college student. I have no money. But once I graduate, I'm gonna see if I can try and start getting into like collecting more of it, because like digital media, not the best thing. Streaming, not the best thing, because they don't want us to own the stuff forever, which is I just in general, I feel more secure about actually owning the physical copy of the DVD.
Can you guys get 50 of the greatest cartoons VHS tape on streaming? I didn't think so.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is you probably can, except not on VHS quality. Well, Kung Fu Panda 2 time?
Kung Fu Panda 2?
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'd say it's Kung Fu Panda 2 time. An hour and 11 minutes into the podcast. Kung Fu Panda 2 time. So, Kung Fu Panda 2.
We're probably going to be going for we're probably going to be 3 hours by the time we get to this last. We're done talking about this.
It's entirely possible. But anyway, Kung Fu Panda 2. The one I feel like a lot of people say is their favorite. I'm not quite there yet, but man, is it ever close. I'll say that. Holy crap.
I think that it is the best, the one that I think is the most well put together out of the, not trilogy, out of the franchise, because now there's 4 movies.
I can agree to that.
Out of the, I think 2 is the best. Yeah. Oh boy.
There's definitely.
Yeah, but.
So, as I said, I feel like the balance of the, mature themes and introspective stuff in the first one, along with the Jack Black funny panda shenanigans, the balance of those two things was a lot better than this one. With that said, I think it's only because, the dark stuff really gets dark, and so the comedy, as much as it's trying, can't really balance it out as much. With that said, I in no way want this movie any other way. I love it the way it is. I think we need more movies like this. Yeah, no,
for sure. I do feel because even though I could very much make a case for, in my opinion, this being the best DreamWorks movie, I do think that there are 1 or 2 moments where I do feel the comedy kind of can cause a bit of tonal whiplash.
Sure.
One scene that I think of is the scene right after they Poe and the Five agree to go back to fight Shen after finding out he has all those big cannons. And I feel Jack Black's comedy in that case can be a little distracting given at this point in the story. But other than that, again, I do consider this movie to be an improvement over the original in almost every way. And again, we talked about for an hour and 10 minutes on why the original is amazing.
Yeah.
But there's just so many things on why this is a phenomenal sequel in every way.
Yeah,
and I was going to mention how that you basically took the words right out of my mouth. While rewatching the first 2 movies, I did kind of admit that the second one isn't as funny as the first, but because the dark stuff is so good, I don't really care. So if I'm in a mood for a comedy, really good comedy, I'll watch the first one. But then if I'm in the mood for a drama or overall just a cinematic masterpiece,
compelling drama,
I'll go for the second.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too.
Is a cinematic masterpiece, but
that's the thing is when it comes to compelling drama in an animated movie aimed at a younger audience, I think this really rivals some of the best dramas I've seen, just because it actually succeeds. I feel we tend to be this kids movie has really good drama, and it's just I don't know, I guess it's kind of there. No, this time I'm
it's good for what it
is. One of the darkest animated movies, and I'm there's more out there. Please touch us.
Yeah, there's a lot more stuff that's way out there. When you see people talking about I don't know, Disney stuff and saying oh, this is some of the, I'm not saying Disney movies can't have that level of maturity evident by films like Hunchback, but people can really overblow it in a lot of cases because by comparison it's very dark. And I agree that this movie does have much more mature things by comparison to a lot of other DreamWorks films, but even on their own, it's just so unlike really any other film the studio has made. I don't think they've ever made anything that quite rivals this.
Oh no, not since they have never been able to replicate this. I can assure you.
I know they've come close with some stuff. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, I feel got
that's the closest one.
Got there.
Yes, that is definitely the closest one.
And Prince of Egypt with the genocide.
Yeah, but Prince of Egypt came first. I'm talking about since Kung Fu Panda.
Prince of Egypt came before, and again with Prince of Egypt, part of that was because by virtue of adaptation, they're adapting a pre-established story.
Yeah, that's true.
This was completely out of their own individual ingenuity with our beloved Queen Jennifer Young Nelson. These next two segments are just going to be nonstop praise.
Oh
towards
yeah,
her.
absolutely.
I was really thinking about it. So I rewatched Megamind a couple weeks ago. No reason, because nothing else came out about Megamind. But anyway,
Sure,
yeah,
sure.
nothing else came out.
But I was rewatching it, and the DVD I have of Megamind has a teaser for Kung Fu Panda 2. So it starts off, it's just like, next summer, coming to theaters, Kung Fu Panda 2. And then it's like Jack Black in like some cave, not Jack Black, Poe in some cave. And he's just like, hey, Kung Fu staring contest, go. And then he just stares at the camera for like a good minute.
Yeah, no, because
I've seen
like, I
that one.
actually remember,
Yeah.
I actually have pretty good memories of like actually seeing advertisements.
Oh, I do too. I want to talk
for
about that.
film when it was coming out. Yeah, no, Liv.
Well,
I
just want to say, like, watching that teaser and knowing the final product of the movie, I'm like, false advertising.
Yeah, no, you
wow.
never would guess that it would be like this level of mature just based on that trailer. You'd think it would be like live up to the actual name of Kung Fu Panda. You would think
I could just imagine being a parent in like theaters in 2010 and seeing that while watching, I don't know, like what's a movie that came out in
Toy
2010?
Story
Like
3.
Yeah, Toy Story 3, and you see that teaser being like, next summer, Kung Fu Panda 2, and just like a bunch of kids just like seeing Jack Black Panda on the screen and just being like, like scream, laughing and clapping, just being like, Kung Fu Panda.
No, they'd be doing the steering contest with him.
Yeah.
I know I did that. I know I did that when I saw
Did you
that,
win?
when I first saw that trailer. No. At least
I mean, you're a human being. He's a computer model. He could
Right.
he
He was
could keep sides
cheating.
till the end of time.
Yeah.
he had an advantage.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, okay, so you saw some Kung Fu Panda 2 marketing you wanted to talk about, Olivia, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Liv,
Okay,
go
so
ahead.
it was 2011, so I was 8. Yeah,
Mhm.
it was just like, seeing the trailers, and I was originally afraid of seeing this movie. I originally didn't want to see it because there was that one shot of Poe and the Five leaping off Shen's tower, and I was afraid they were gonna die because speaking of Toy Story 3, just a year earlier, I thought Woody and the gang were gonna die, so I didn't want to see another group.
I remember
another
that.
Group
I remember
of mine
that.
try to die again. But
That is fair, because like I remembered like watching Toy Story 3.
The fact that I saw that movie in 3D, I think honestly made it worse for 6-year-old me. I'm like, oh no, they're gonna burn in the first.
oh,
I
that
think
would've been
yeah.
so cool to see in 3D.
I think Toy Story 3, yeah. I was definitely I was older than you guys, but I remember seeing Toy Story 3 in theaters and being like, oh shit, are they actually going to go this far? And they didn't, but like I was just like, are they going to go this far? Like, jeez. So you know what? I guess, yeah.
To be honest, rewatching it now, I kind of wish Lotso was the one that somehow they managed to like have him like, not that they push him, but he like accidentally falls in. But I'm like, okay, maybe that's a little bit too dark for a Pixar.
Well, I wish they all went down there so then we didn't get Toy Story 4 or 5. But anyway, Kung Fu Panda 2.
Hey, I have I can defend 4. I don't want them to make 5. Don't get me wrong. I just if they had to kill them off in 3 so we don't get 5, I would be fine with that.
But anyway, yeah. So you didn't want to see Kung Fu Panda 2 because you didn't want to see them die.
Yeah, so I do know I originally did see the movie in theaters. I don't know how I was persuaded, but all I don't remember seeing that scene in theaters. I just remember the very ending of the cliffhanger. And I remember like 8-year-old me was so smart being like, yeah, they're going to make a third movie.
Yeah, no, I do remember that for sure, because I also watched this one on demand, and because actually weirdly enough 4 was actually the first one that I went to see when it came out in theaters. So like I've watched all the 3 like at the original 3 at home, but like I remember even 7-year-old me just like being really blown away by almost everything about it, even the parts that I didn't fully understand. Like there was just so much that like just instantly made it click.
Well, it's interesting because while Kung Fu Panda was one I saw when it first came out, or like a year or so after it came out, so I watched it as a kid. I didn't watch Kung Fu Panda 2 until 2020. Like,
oh wow,
Really?
yeah, no, that was the first time I ever watched it. Like, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. There were some sequels I saw as a kid, and some I didn't see until way, way later. So I couldn't. I
It's
honestly
fine. I
couldn't
still
tell you
haven't seen
why.
How to Train Your Dragon 2.
Well,
Yeah, no, for me, like, that's been, like, the case for, like, a lot of the DreamWorks films that came out in, like, the 2010s. Like, some of them I've just, like, skipped. I've never actually seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
me too.
Yeah, so I definitely understand.
Yeah. So, but again, I'm watching it as an adult, and I'm still connecting with everything it does. I'm just like that. That just shows you how good it is. Like, it's not one of those where it's like, you kind of had to grow up watching it to appreciate it. It's like, no, I appreciate the hell out of it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. The fact that I grew up with it, like, means, like, yes, I do have that, like, nostalgic connection. But also, it still does hold up beyond
Absolutely.
that. Like, that's the thing, but there's a lot of stuff that you can, like, watch as a kid and, like, you can still be nostalgic for, but also acknowledge, maybe this wasn't as good as it was when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
I guess I might be jumping. I won't mention too much about it, but I am jumping a little ahead on the topic of test screenings. So when I was younger, I went to a test screening for Penguins of Madagascar, and I remember I told like an old friend of my mom about it, and it turns out they went to a test screening for Kung Fu Panda 2, and I remember being so jealous of them, and I still am to this day.
Hey, you got to see the fourth movie for a test screening.
Not yet, Minion.
Twice.
Not yet.
Twice.
Not yet. But I would have loved to see like alternate takes of Lord Shen. I mean, that would have been awesome. But well.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Let's talk about Lord Shen. Let's just jump into it. Let's just dive right into.
My God.
Holy shit! Like, I'm actually kind of struggling with this one. I don't know who I prefer, Tai Lung or Lord Shen.
I prefer him over Tai Lung, but that's just me.
I mean,
in my personal opinion,
I don't know. I can't decide. I really can't. It's like two cakes, man. Two cakes.
Tai Lung is definitely the more sympathetic antagonist,
sure.
But in terms of like writing, like just the way like he has like such a commanding presence. Yeah. The way that he's so threatening, not just with everything he does. I think the thing that personally stands out with me the most for him is Gary Oldman's performance. Dude. That's to me like what's always like made him the most intimidating. It's just like on a completely another level. Because if you didn't tell me, I honestly would not have guessed that was him. Like it's that convincing how like immersed he gets into.
Have you seen the footage of him in the recording booth?
No, I have not.
It's amazing. He's just vibing, and it's amazing.
I mean, Gary Oldman is one of those actors where, like, every movie I see him in, even if they're bad, I'm just like, you know what? Him. He rocks. Like, he's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I know for sure.
This role was actually what made me fall in love with him.
Yeah. No, has he ever done another animated film, or is this, like, his only one?
I don't think... Let me see.
Because, like, I'd be really... Because I don't really associate him as
a because he does mostly do live action stuff. Yeah. But like...
I mean, I guess if you want to count... Zemeckis is A Christmas Carol. Oh, he was in Planet 51.
Oh God! I mean that came out before. That came out before.
Oh, and Quest for Camelot. How could I have forgotten the classic Nostalgia Critic
the last
review?
Yeah, I think this might be the last animated film that he's done since. He hasn't done any more since this movie. But like, I'm surprised that he doesn't do more.
He was kind of good in A Christmas Carol. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I kind of defend that movie. I like it. He was good in that.
I like it too. I really do. Like, well, I don't love it. Like, if we're talking like great Christmas carols, you know, Mickey's Christmas Carol, Muppets Christmas Carol, obviously.
Yeah, Muppets Christmas Carol.
Honestly, I do kind of like the Zemeckis Christmas Carol. Like, I'm kind of there with you, Olivia. Yeah. So, but Gary Oldman, Lord Shen. Yeah, you know what? I'm glad they commit with Lord Shen because you're right, Yinsed. Tai Lung is way more sympathetic. Like, Lord Shen is a bastard, but like, I love that he's a bastard, you know? And it's not just like, I'm evil for evil's sake. You kind of understand why he's a piece of shit. Like, you kind of see it with him.
No, because, like, fear can be a very strong motivator for an antagonist. Like, the entire film, it's meant to be his paranoia on the mere idea of somebody trying to strip him of his power by defeating him. And he's so paranoid at the mere idea of, like, a fortune that he had no reason to even believe, to the point where he commits genocide on an entire species that like literally wasn't even bothering him. And it's just it's messed up, but it makes for a very intimidating antagonist. Because, like, you can tell, like, it already... Part of the reason why the Kung Fu Panda movies always do an excellent job, with the fourth movie excluded, of establishing the power level and threatening the intimidation of their antagonists.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Like in the first
all
movie,
three movies do that.
Our introduction
well.
to Tai Lung is his prison escape. In our second movie, we have Shen with the introduction to, like, obviously, like, his physical
And
capabilities.
he kills
like,
Victor Garber. Why
Yeah,
did Victor
no,
I knew you were gonna bring that up.
always die?
Yeah, no.
I knew you were gonna bring up the
Yeah.
Titanic actor. I knew it. Subconsciously, I knew it. But no, you know what? What I like about Lord Shen in that where he is kung fuing, so to speak, and he even says, like, you know, they're just like, you're no match for us, and he's like, no, you're absolutely right, I'm not. But this is, and then he breaks out the guns
for sure. Because, like, they make up for what he somewhat lacks for in terms of, like, physicality and raw strength with the fact that he has all of this weaponry and an entire wolf army behind him.
Yeah, he's cunning. He's very, very cunning. Like, that's his strength. Like, I love that. You know, he's not a physically intimidating villain. He's just clever and very, very smart, all things considered.
Yes, for sure.
Like, it's so good. So good.
If I could...
Yeah, no, I could very much make a case for him being the best DreamWorks villain, honestly.
I would not disagree.
If I could be completely honest, aside from Spot from Across the Spider-Verse, the last time I had so much fun with an animated movie villain would be Lord Shen.
Yeah.
And that was
for sure.
12 years from now. And I'm specifying animated movie because I do love Jinx from Arcane. Like, aside from Spot and her, Lord Shen would be the, like, most recent villain I've had so much fun with.
I mean, well, you know what? I did like Jack Horner and the Wolf.
Yeah, I know there's Jack Horner and stuff, but, like,
oh boy.
I'm sorry. Listen, you gotta understand. For me, Jack Horner is the first time I genuinely found John Mulaney funny. Like, I was,
Really?
that's harsh. I did find him funny, but Jack Horner was when I was like, okay, I get it now. Like, I get it.
Yeah, no, that's funny. I just feel like with Jack Horner, like, the fact that he's meant to be, like, his entire character is, like, meant to be a parody on the idea, like, I'm just evil for the sake of it. I feel like that just isn't going to particularly age well, and I feel like it gradually gets old as the film. It's one of my few issues with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but again, I do understand why people, like, find him appealing.
I mean, I feel like
I have kind of warmed up to him, but, like, still.
Oh, the memes are fucking spectacular. I think that's one of the reasons I'm falling for it.
Yeah, no, I do like the memes. I just think in the context of this film, I think he's kind of the weak link compared to, like, Goldilocks and especially Death.
Well, I feel like it's interesting because, you know, Lord Shen could have easily been a parody of, like, oh, evil for the sake of evil, like we were just saying. But there is that like backstory, and again, it's not used as an excuse, it's used as, well, this is what happened,
and just an explanation.
Yeah, it's an explanation.
Development.
Absolutely. I'm just, I really wanted to save this, but I've been obsessing over, have you guys ever obsessed, I mean, I'm sure you have, but please bear with me with this, have you ever obsessed with, like, just a couple of seconds of animation?
Oh,
absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, it's in this movie multiple instances for me.
Well, so for me, the couple of seconds I'm referring to is literally during like when Shen and Po are fighting, and then, like, you know, the cannon starts to fall over, and Shen, like, kind of closes his eyes and, like, accepts his fate. Like, I'm obsessed with that. Like, that is like the cherry on top of, like, this iced cake of a villain.
Absolutely. And then I did write one of my notes of, like, a couple seconds I absolutely loved, and it was, let me see. So when Po and Shen are fighting in the cannon factory, Po is, like, he's on, like, the little treadmill thing where it's, like, it's gonna fall into, like, a vat of molten lead or something, and you can see Shen is following him, and he kind of cocks his head and, like, has, like, these huge wide eyes, and it's so bird-like and animalistic, and I'm like, ooh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. No, believe me, I know. I have birds of my own. They do that sometimes. It is very scary.
And, like, even aside from it being so animalistic, it's also just showing how he's got a couple screws loose. you know?
Yeah. Oh, there's
Yeah,
a scene
no, for
before he even meets Poe where he's like preparing to meet him. He's just like, "So, Panda, we meet at
Greetings,
last."
Panda. At last we
Yeah,
meet.
great. Yeah, it's really geeky, but like it works because he's kind of a dope in that regard. Because like he's just like the one thing that's gonna bring me down is coming today. Like I gotta be prepared, you know. Like that's the one thing, but like it works.
And I was going to mention this to you guys. I found out the other day there's a handful of Lord Shen deleted clips, like deleted scenes. I've been meaning to send the links,
yeah.
and one of them was an alternate version of Shen practicing when he meets Poe. And I'll just say I'm glad they deleted it because it's basically just Shen. It was probably just an animation test, I don't know, but he's basically just staring at the camera and saying, like rehearsing his lines. And instead of the large, whatever weapon it is, like spear, instead of using his spear, he's just using his like feather knives. It's a little more awkward, but it's also just super interesting that it could have been that scene.
Was it supposed to be like kind of a bait and switch where you think he actually is talking to Poe and then like the camera pans out and it's revealed he's just practicing?
I think so. I can't remember. It was only like a 30-second scene, but it's still really interesting to watch. Because
I'm kind of tired of jokes like that where it's just like, oh, obviously this character's not talking to this other character. Like, it's like one of those things where it's like, if we see less of that, the better. Whereas I feel like, actively showing that Poe isn't there yet, but he's like practicing. Like, I like that. I like that they went with showing that to like show that he is kind of a dweeb in that sense.
Yep.
And they don't make as much of a joke of it. They just cut to it and like,
like it never really makes them less intimidating because of that. It just really shows like how like kind of the investment he has like in this like this false idea of like what like his like how much he's willing to prepare for this supposed battle, like this destiny, like where he meets his fate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And with that said, the whole like a warrior of black and white will defeat him. Is it ever truly said it's a panda? Because, like...
Okay, I did actually want to mention that. I had that in my notes.
Yeah, I'm glad.
So I've watched I've unfortunately watched Cinema Sin's video on it when I was younger. And I remember one of his... Yeah. For the record, I prefer Cinema Wins.
Olivia watches Cinema Sins. Ding!
No, I mean, you watch the Nostalgia Critic, how you can't...
I can judge, because Nostalgia Critic is vastly different.
We're not having this... We'll have this conversation at a later date. Anyway, what were you saying?
I used to watch Cinema Sins, but I watched his Kung Fu Panda 2 one, and he mentions at the very beginning about how the fact that they use the yin and yang symbol, and it's just super vague, because it's like the most... Like, I guess when you think of China, you ultimately think of the yin and yang, and you could have done something more with it. And he was like, I don't know, he was sitting for that, but I have a defense for it, and it's the fact that, so, let's see, where is it?
Did he really say that as a sin? Like, oh, it's too vague. Like, No,
I think he was using it as the fact that Poe, who's black and white, they just automatically use the yin and yang because, both black and white, like a surface level comparison. But I think it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
Also, Hal, he's British, so it would very much be like...
He's British?
Oh, it's too... Well, I mean, I know one of the guys is...
Cinema Sins isn't British, is he?
I think so. I don't know. It's been forever since I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe. I think he... Oh, let me see.
Because I don't remember the British accent. Liv, I feel like...
Yeah, I mean...
No, Liv, you keep looking up the thing. I'm going to see. Because I haven't watched one of their videos in, like, forever. So I don't know.
So I noticed significance in it. So the thing about the yin and yang is that it's, two polar opposites who are, perpetually, like... Two opposites attract, basically.
Yeah.
So, yin is the black with the white spot, and then yang is white with the black spot. And I think of it as Poe being yang with the white with the black spot, since he has a dark past, but he continued to, live a good life after that. Your story may not have a happy beginning. And then Shen has a very dark past, but he still has a shred of humanity for, like, soothsayer and stuff. So I think it's the fact that they're both... they both are similar in some ways, but then they complement each other also. So I think it is.
Yeah.
I do like the idea that they use the yin and yang symbol, and I think there was more I had to this, but yeah.
No, I think you make a very good point there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, of course it was intentional. I mean, the fact that they never say it's a panda and they explicitly make Shen like this black and white peacock, like.
Yeah, no, I've seen a lot of people use that argument, but like ultimately the black and white warrior that they were talking about was Shen himself, that he caused his own downfall. I can definitely see that reading, and yeah, it would make sense because like it would tie into the idea of like, you know, where Poe's talking about like the only thing that really matters is if you choose to who you choose to be now, because he didn't like immediately go to like attacking Shen, even though like he caused him so much pain.
Yeah.
It was ultimately him that like caused the mask to fall over and him to cause his own demise. So I can definitely understand where that argument comes from.
But it definitely can be viewed as Poe being the warrior black and white. Like it does.
Yeah,
that's
no, for sure.
That's the beauty of this movie. Like it leaves that
no,
up to
the ambiguity
interpretation.
Of it, like, I really admire.
Yeah,
that.
I admire it too. Yeah.
And like the fact that Shen is the reason why Poe has his dark backstory, but then Poe is, you know, being able to grow past it, and then Poe is kind of doing the vice versa for Shen, and that's what leads to his demise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yin and yang just constantly swirling.
Yeah. Well, suffice it to say, I can't believe CinemaSins didn't pick up on that.
SMH.
We have fun here.
Okay, and then Yinsed, going back to what you said about Death, I did notice that both Shen and Death say "run, run, little blank." So Shen says, you know, "run, run, little panda," and then Death says "corre, corre, gatito," which is, you know, "run, run, little kitten," or "run, run, little
but
cat."
In Spanish.
Yeah,
That's actually a pretty cool detail. Yeah.
So I noticed that, even though I doubt it's intentional, but I thought it was cool.
No, I think it's a gigantic
that's a pretty cool little detail.
But still cool nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to take this time to really bring up the animation, because one of the things that I really admire about Jennifer Young Nelson as like a director is the way that she uses 2D animation to represent time beyond the present. So like dream sequences, visions, the past. And in the case of Poe, the 2D flashbacks symbolize the lack of clarity and struggle to remember the exact details of everything that's happened in his past. And one of the critiques that I have seen of this movie is when people will make the argument that like, oh, the fact that we're shown the flashbacks so early make the story too predictable. But I think they offer up a really good sense of dramatic irony, where there's still some level of mystery with regards to like what specifically happened in regards to like Poe's relation to this very dark and dramatic event that Shen caused.
Yeah.
And I just think that the way that Jennifer Young Nelson portrays that throughout the film is just mesmerizing. Like, it just sucks you in every single time.
Yeah, and you say that, like, the whole representing of time, like, the fact that, like, for most of the movie, the flashback is shown in 2D until the very end where he's, like...
Yeah, because he finally has that clarity.
And then it's in 3D.
And the interesting thing about it is that it's only the moment that he has with his mother.
Yeah.
Like, right in that moment. I think that's really
It's a very good moment, yeah. And it's delivered, and again, it's delivered beautifully, and it looks awesome. Well, going on the animation, I love the colors in this movie, like the hellish reds, as James puts it, and the fact that, like I just have this very clear vision of just like the city at night and just like the reds really popping out. It's beautiful. It's like so beautiful.
Yeah, honestly, Gongmen City is like such a perfect extension of this world. It's a very mesmerizing, like visually stimulating location that we get to anchor ourselves most of the film in. And I think it's really interesting that we get to like see what life is beyond the Valley of Peace. We get to like kind of see the Furious Five sort of out of their elements. I just think it's a really interesting extension of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Especially that we have like a big fucking tower in the middle, like, and it looks really cool. And then it comes crashing down, and that looks really cool. Like
that scene is so awesome.
I think that's probably my favorite action scene in this movie. Yeah.
Well, it's Liv's least favorite because they almost died.
Right. Poor Liv.
No, but you know what? Like the fact that it just looks like they are in peril the whole time. And I also really just love the idea of like it comes crashing down and then like it cuts to Shen and the soothsayer talking, and the soothsayer's just like, you just destroyed like an ancestral home, and Shen's just like, well, that doesn't matter anymore, and it's just like,
Perfect
whoa,
sacrifice when I'll try it as my reward.
yeah, like so cool.
You guys will not understand how fixated I was on this franchise, specifically this movie. I would watch it at least once a week in high school. I have the entire movie memorized.
Oh boy.
Liv, I think I can relate to you because you have to understand. When we got to the third movie specifically, it got so obsessive to the point where I wrote a fan fiction.
Is this when I mentioned my fanfic story? Because I mentioned it.
You can do that. I'm not gonna go in depth on mine because it's so bad. I started rereading after I watched the fourth movie. You can say yours. You can say your story.
Okay, for the record, I didn't write it. I didn't write it. But I told for those listening, I told the two of them I have a story about a Kung Fu Panda fanfic, and it happened in high school. It was my freshman year. My friend and I. Actually, it was the same friend who gave me the Kung Fu Panda DVD, so shout out to Caleb. Anyway, we were on the, I don't know, we were just looking up Kung Fu Panda, and then that led us to a Kung Fu Panda fanfic, and that led us to a Po X Shifu fic, and we kind of...
Ooh. I'd read that, send that to me.
No! We kind of skimmed it. And the worst part is we did this on the school's Chromebook.
Oh god! I'd read a Po X Shifu. Just sounds like a guilty pleasure. So yeah, send it to me.
No, it was years ago.
I'm amazed that got past school. Well, I mean, you know what? Schools are stupid, man, when it comes to censoring stuff. Yeah, Did I ever tell you guys the story when I was in 6th grade and my friend and I, we were in like engineering class and we used Bing, and we just let me tell you. We used Bing, and you're not going to believe me when I say this, but I swear to fucking God this happened. We typed in the word string into into Bing images, and we got nothing but stringed bikinis. We just got like a bunch of pictures of scantily clad women in bikinis because strings are on the... I am not even kidding. I'm like... So I was like, and it was on the school's computer, and we just kept scrolling.
Well, no, nowadays, like, they have, like, filters. I know it's been a while. Like, I've been out of, like, high school for 2 years now. But they have this thing where they make it so that, like, safe search and, like, restricted mode, stuff like that is automatically turned on, and you can't turn it off. So, like, now they have, like, filters in place so, like, you can't, unless you use a VPN. But even then, like, they found a way to they found all the ones that like most of the...
So I guess I'm not that surprised that you were able to find this fan fiction on the school's Chromebook.
Oh, it's awful.
Oh,
I
that's
can't even
good.
remember which website it was on, but it definitely wasn't blocked. So they'll block
Wattpad.
YouTube, but
you know what?
I'm
gonna look it up just to. I've got to experience that for myself. I'm gonna look that up later.
Well, I can say for certain that I have not written any fan fiction.
Okay, now
of Kung Fu
while we're on
Panda.
the topic of like fan fiction and shipping, because I normally don't care about this stuff, can we just appreciate the fact that Kung Fu Panda is one of those rare trilogies franchises that doesn't feel the need to include a romance to keep things interesting.
It does feel
really
refreshing in that regard, because I never even noticed it until you brought that up. It's like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, that's not a thing.
Oh, and I forgot I was gonna...
Yeah, no, for sure.
And it never...
No, you go ahead,
and it never tries to make that a joke, where it's just like, oh, see, we're not making any romance. Like, it doesn't give a shit. Like, it's just like, it doesn't play any part, because that's not what the movies are about.
Well, I mean, in the third movie, they do have, like, one sort of thing where, like, there's, the ribbon panda where, like, she's, like, obsessively flirting with Poe, but he doesn't realize that. Yeah. That's mostly played for comedy, though. I absolutely love it. We'll get to that later, though. But, like, in general, like, as for, like, actual serious, like, relationship, like, stuff, because, like, I don't think... I know a lot of people, like, in the fan base ship Poe and Tigress. I don't get it at all.
I don't either.
Like, more power to you. Like in terms of like the actual canon, I personally don't think that it would work for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, no, it would not. But like, because the Tigress and Poe scenes, I don't see them as romantic. I see them as friendship. Like they're actually bonding as friends. Like especially,
and I will say, because I do,
especially the hugging scene. We have to talk about it. We have to.
Wait,
for sure. And like, because I want to.
Sorry.
Okay,
I kind of forgot to mention in the first movie, or when we were talking about the first movie, but then I guess it also applies here, that the fact that Tigress, like out of the entire 5, Tigress takes the longest to warm up to Poe, but then she's the one who ends up growing the closest bond to him, and I think that's really sweet.
Right, and like another thing that I want to point out is that one of the most interesting little details that I love that Jennifer Young Nelson paid attention to. You know how in that scene towards the first movie where Shifu is trying to get rid of Poe and he has all the Furious 5 attack him? Yeah. Tigress is the only one who doesn't have that one-to-one combat with him until this movie. Wow. And there's actually, no, hold on, this is just like one of the big notes in there because I wanted to point out. So, for one, I think Tigress is bar none at her most interesting in this movie.
Yes.
Agreed.
And I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact it seems like she's really struggled to understand what it is about Poe from the moment they met.
Yeah.
And I feel like in like that scene where she's talking about the scene where they're talking about the scene where she finds out that Poe is adopted and like he's just really like just casual about it. And then when we get to the bridge to the tower scene and he lets Shen get away, she's frustrated and she like gets like violent because she's like she thinks he's treating this situation as a joke. And in general, that's like been her whole issue, like how she thinks Poe kind of treats Kung Fu. Like, why are you so quick to rush into action when we all almost just died? And that's why the "then tell me why" line really hits hard.
Yeah. Then tell me why, exactly. And then
Poe, he finally gets vulnerable with her, and then she returns that vulnerability. She's like, I do understand what you mean, but I care about you. Like, I don't want you to get killed.
That's one of the best hugs I've ever seen in any movie.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's just so sweet.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Yeah, and in general, I just kind of think that their relationship just works so much better as a friendship than it does as a romance.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then I had another note where...
No. So I was going to say, so the thing about each of the films, at least in the context of the original trilogy, is that each film serves a different purpose throughout Poe's journey of self-discovery. And it chooses to place really strong emphasis on an individual aspect, individual relationship. In the first movie, it's about his relationship with Shifu and Kung Fu as an art form. In the third movie, it's an exploration of his blood family and allowing him to reconnect with his roots. In this movie, it's about his relationship with the Five and how his found family, while they don't diminish the significance of his origins, are just as meaningful to his journey and shaping his identity, which is why the Furious Five have the most active role in this movie. And it's also my defense for, we get to the third movie, why they have a less prominent role. We'll get to that later. But I just really like the role that the Furious Five have in general.
Yeah.
Like, they have great chemistry with each other in terms of their action, in terms of their banter. Like, it really does solidify them as, like, being, like, just a really strong ensemble cast to follow Poe on this journey.
They're not just celebrity voices. Like, they have purpose. Yeah.
Right.
Not according to Mike Mitchell, though, because he didn't include them in the fourth movie. We're not there yet.
Not there yet. Not yet. Well, so, yeah. And then the whole, like, this is a movie I was really impressed with the first time I saw it because of the whole Poe's backstory and how he's, like, trying to discover, like, you know, appreciating his found family. I mean, the fact that in the first movie, the whole Mr. Ping being his dad is played for laughs is really funny. But then in this one, they take that joke, but expand upon it, and you find out, oh, it's actually fairly depressing. But I feel like it doesn't take away from the comedy of the first one, and the comedy of the first one does not take away from the emotional weight that comes in this movie.
Right.
Yeah, no, but, like, his backstory is also really wholesome.
Yeah.
Like, well, for one, baby Poe is adorable.
Yeah.
But second of all, yeah, the fact that like he like the radish basket just took him in and like tried to give him a bath. I'm like that scene like always warms me up, and like I know because like I have a list. This is like one of those very rare movies that like always manages to make me cry.
Yeah.
It's mainly the scene. Like I'm not normally super emotional when it comes to movies, but the scene where like Poe is saying goodbye to his mom for the last time, that like really like always strikes a nerve. Like I always get on the verge of tears with that. Like it's such a beautiful moment, but like it's also in a way accepting that even though he doesn't have all the answers about who he fully is yet, and he wasn't fully able to process that trauma when he was younger, it isn't necessary to appreciate how the individuals currently in his life contribute to making him who he is, and ultimately trump his trauma in a way.
Right.
The use of montage in that sequence, like during the inner peace sequence where like he like remembers all that he's done with the Furious Five and Mr. Ping. I don't often like having montages of like scenes from the previous movie in the next movie, because like I feel like that can be a little lazy, and I've seen it used
it can be kind of
very lazily, very tediously lazy.
Here,
in other movies
it actually feels
it makes me tear up.
It's very
this is like, again, you're just replaying scenes from the previous movie, and that's making me tear up. Like that is the power of Kung Fu Panda 2.
It's like a really weird instance, because like I didn't normally cry like when I like was watching it as a kid, but like as an adult, like when you finally understand the meaning behind it, that's when you like really start to get emotional.
Oh, dude, talking about emotionally conflicting, the jumping ahead, but like when Poe returns to Mr. Ping's and he like hugs Mr. Ping, he hugs his goose dad, and he goes, "I love you, Dad," and then Mr. Ping goes, "I love you, son," and just the way that Mr. Ping moves his head is really funny, but again.
It's just
also
such a sweet and like
his noodle hat waffles.
Right. So honest.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful moment.
that
also tying back to the idea like he found out who he is. Like yes, he found out how like he got there, but at the end of the day, regardless, he's still his son, and he cares about it. They both care about each other so much.
It's such a beautiful scene. That's also really funny because it looks funny.
I love this movie so much.
Oh, so good. I believe the hype. It's one of those movies. Look, I don't try to be a contrarian. Sometimes I do, but no, more often than not, I try not to be a contrarian. But this is one of those times I'm not going to play the contrarian. I buy the hype for Kung Fu Panda 2.
So your 5 out of 10 for Nimona wasn't just out of spite, just to piss me off.
No, that was completely no.
Because that's what it felt like.
No, I swear to you, Yinsed. I swear to you, I tried, but.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Agree to disagree. And you did like make some somewhat distant points. I didn't agree with them, but I understood.
I figured not. But again, but that's what I'm saying is like whenever I do come across as contrarian, it's not because I'm trying to. It's because I'm being as genuine as possible. So believe me when I say I believe the hype for Kung Fu Panda 2. Like it is that good, you know.
So I wanted to go back to what you said about the montage. So, yeah, during my intense phase of adoring this movie, it was originally in my top 4, and I think the highest praise I can give this movie is that the fact that it made me forget the first movie exists, and I'm only reminded of that when it mentions Tai Lung and the montage, because I go through the entire movie just assuming, just even though 2 is in the title, I just forget the first movie exists, and then it has a montage, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's an entire other movie before this.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the one thing I don't like about the movie is that it's called Kung Fu Panda 2. Like, it's an awful title, but...
Well, the subtitle was originally Kaboom of Doom before they changed it.
I learned about that just today.
Worse. That's even worse. I'm sorry.
Awful.
I don't care.
Okay, so I have my...
If I had a choice between Kaboom of Doom or just Kung Fu Panda 2, I'll
take the latter. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But...
I'm sorry.
So I was flipping through my I have the Art of Kung Fu Panda 2 book with me. I had it. I bought it while still in print. It's out of print now, but I was flipping through it, and they had.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Maybe when I'm rich and famous on YouTube, I'll buy it on eBay for like a couple hundred bucks.
I got it on Amazon for like 25 bucks. Anyway, so
Nice.
I was flipping through it while I was waiting for I think Yinsed to come home, and they have basically
Okay.
I think it's the color key of the entire movie, where it's basically concept art for various scenes in the movie in chronological order, and they had the title for they had like the title card, and it was Kung Fu Panda Kaboom of Doom, and that's when I remembered, oh yeah, that was supposed to be the original title, and I was like,
Yeah, that again, that title matches up with that teaser trailer I talked about earlier.
Yeah,
because it is very it makes me think that like the DreamWorks producers were just like, all right, the first movie was a massive success. We're just going to let you do whatever, and we'll advertise it as like whatever. And then Jennifer Young Nelson was just like, let me try with this one. And then that's why like it got so dark, because I'm sure DreamWorks was just like, do whatever. It'll be a hit no matter what.
Yeah, no, like, I will always cite her as the person that really defined this franchise
Absolutely.
as being, like, for sure.
and the fact that she was the first woman to ever solely direct a major animated feature, and this movie came out in
Right, because
2011.
Brenda Chapman, she co-directed The Prince. She had other directors.
Yeah.
And that was
Prince of Egypt,
1998,
right? Okay.
so
1998.
yeah, 1998.
Yeah.
That's just
The year you were born,
That's-
Hal. Wait, no, you were born in 1916.
That's right. Yeah.
no, he was on the Titanic.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
He lived.
I got better.
Why didn't you stop the iceberg, Hal? I'm sure you could have done something.
I thought icebergs were cool.
You could steer a ship back then, right?
I didn't have my boat license. It was my boat permit.
Okay.
Okay, but I personally can't imagine a villain as evil Lord Shen being in a movie titled Kaboom of Doom.
Right, like that just kills like the mood.
Yeah.
Like just enjoy, like
Look, it makes sense because there's a
Yeah, like-
canon in the movie, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
The Kung Fu Panda 2 we got, Kaboom of Doom, no good, no bueno.
Right, yeah, no, like I think just in general, like just adding two, it feels like a very safe.
Yeah,
just
it is the
option in
most
general.
safe.
Mostly just neutral, not like super terrible, not super great either.
Right.
Just
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
I do want to mention the soundtrack once again, because how you
Yeah.
said you didn't have the time to listen to it before recording
Nope.
this, and I mean, you are
Yep.
missing out. I'll say that.
I know. Well, I've seen the movie 3 times, so like,
Yeah.
I know
But, like,
the music is good.
But listening to it on its own is just an entirely different level. I mean,
Right,
honestly,
yeah. Yeah,
that was
I'm
really
sure.
what made me like fall in love with the second movie. And then going back to what I said earlier about how I associate the action scenes and the movie, like, or the score hand in hand, I see that with the score and Lord Shen, because the soundtrack is basically peak any second Lord Shen is on screen, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many distinct, I think because I've gotten a little more advanced at playing the piano and become more musically attuned, I guess, I've noticed how they reorchestrate the different leitmotifs of Shen and like the main Kung Fu Panda theme, and it's so good.
Yeah.
And then while I was listening to it yesterday, I did notice the transition between like Invasion Begins, Zen Ball Master, I think it's My Fist Hungers for Justice. The transition in between all three of them is so seamless, and you have to listen to it for yourself. It's so good.
I do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
should.
I honestly don't know where to begin with the soundtrack.
It's really good. You could begin with that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, these films genuinely have pretty good scores. Even 4, I think, is like not like any of the high, doesn't reach any of the highs as 1 or 3, but like it still has a pretty decent.
It's
score.
it's like the Star Wars sequels. Like, it's not bad music. Like, it's really good music. It's just the movie it's attached to is severely lacking. But again,
right.
we'll get to
Okay.
that.
Well, except Rise of Skywalker. Cause
Well,
that's just, like, a great sequel nowadays.
that's nobody. Nobody understood what happened with that.
Nobody fucking likes Rise of Skywalker. I don't know anybody. I can't think of a single.
No, I
person
can't
who's
think of a
fucking
single person either. That should be pretty telling.
Oh man, I'm sure they're out there. I have not met any of them. I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what I will say about the Kung Fu Panda 2 soundtrack is that I would pay an obscene amount of money to see it with a live orchestra.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, that'd be really.
That would be really cool.
Because I saw the Batman and Into the Spider-Verse live with the live orchestra, and that was on a whole nother world. Like,
don't
whole
you mean
level.
orchestra? Or what did your shirt say?
Orchestra.
Orchestra.
There was a typo on the back of the I bought a t-shirt there, and there was a typo on the back. It's supposed to say like orchestra and turntables and something else, but they didn't cross the last T in orchestra or something, so it says orchestra. And I spent like $40 on that shirt.
And I think it was $40 worth spent.
But my hair is gonna cover it.
Wait, Liv, do you still have the shirt?
Yeah, I'm keeping it.
Okay.
I mean, my hair's
right.
when I wear it, my hair covers it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But
okay,
it's funny.
I feel like in general, I'd like to listen to like more like live film scores in concert. Like I know Encanto's coming to my sound for the symphony, so I might see if I can try and go to that.
That's cool.
But yeah, I'd love to see the Kung Fu Panda score performed live.
Me too.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
My friend actually did send me a TikTok link where it was Hans Zimmer teasing dates for like a North American tour. And I think, because he usually does a European tour since, he's German. And I think I have seen a clip of them performing Uguay Sens. So being able to see that live would be incredible.
I hope he comes to a city near me.
I hope he comes to a city near all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you guys know Guillermo del Toro was a creative consultant on this?
I did know that.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I think Charlie Kaufman also has some uncredited work, if I'm not mistaken. On this one.
Also doesn't surprise me. No wonder this movie was so good.
Yeah.
They got
all the greats. Exactly. Yeah.
I know Del Toro was also involved in Megamind somehow. I can't remember why, or I can't remember what he did. But like
once again, doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It's no wonder why
Guillermo del
those
Toro
movies are so good.
Yeah, no, he's an absolute treasure. I love him so much. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And then I had another mini note, which I always thought was funny. So when Poe gets on the boat during the climax and the wolves are saying, "Don't shoot to each other," there's one that says, "I won't shoot if you don't shoot." And it took me so many watches. I think it was in the subtitles, and I didn't mention it, or I didn't notice it until one day when I watched it. And I'm like, that's hysterical. I love it.
One of my favorite wolf moments is when Poe's sneaking into the factory and like he has like the two knocked out unconscious wolf guards that he's using as like a cover, and then Danny McBride wolf,
and wipe those stupid grins off your faces.
Well, I was gonna say Danny McBride like wolf notices them, and like Poe goes, "Hey," and Danny McBride goes, "Hey," and just continues.
Oh yeah,
It's
I do remember
Poe
that.
who says "Hey" first to get his attention. I don't know why he does that when he could have just gone by, with no problem. But
it's so funny.
Yeah, it's still funny. It's still funny.
Yeah, no, it makes for like a really funny moment.
Yeah.
Danny
McBride wolf.
I also kind of love the fact that Shen spares Soothsayer, who is performed by the wonderful, sensational Michelle Yeoh.
I was thinking about that.
Okay.
Because, No,
I have an interesting thing that I was going to point out at the beginning.
Yes.
Kung Fu Panda 2 was actually how me and Liv ended up becoming friends. So the way it was, I had just joined... No, let me explain. So I remember it. So the way it was, I had just joined James's Patreon server at the time, and they were talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once a few weeks before it had come out. Liv had mentioned Michelle Yeoh, and then she's like, Kung Fu Panda 2 was the reason I fell in love with her. And I responded with, I could talk about that trilogy for days. She responded with same. And immediately after that, I sent her a friend request. She accepted, and the rest is history.
How it started, how it's going.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I vividly remember that. I had that in my notes, mention that this trilogy is how me and Liv ended up becoming friends.
Wow, look at that.
But yeah, Michelle Yeoh, she's the one who, this movie was who introduced me, or this is the movie that introduced me to Michelle Yeoh, and then it was Cinema Wins' video, not Sin's, Wins' video praising Michelle Yeoh, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's who she is. She's a cool actress. And then that's when Crazy Rich Asians came out, and I remember being outside the theater and being like, oh yeah, I think I heard Michelle Yeoh is in that. And then I saw it, and then that's what cemented my love for her, and now she's one of my favorite actresses.
Yeah. Yeah, this was kind of the movie that, like, I also, like, the first one I saw her in. I know when I was younger, like, my dad had a copy of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and I saw her name on there, but I hadn't actually seen the movie. So yeah, this was the first one that I, like, actually saw her in.
I don't remember what my first would have been that I saw her in. I guess maybe Guardians 2, technically.
Oh, yeah!
But, like, I guess the first time I ever really, like, thought about, like, realized that she's in a movie probably would have been either Crouching Tiger or maybe even, like, I think Tomorrow Never Dies is the Bond movie she was in. I don't remember.
That was it. But I wanted to mention that I think it's interesting how Shen spares Soothsayer, played by the sensational Michelle Yeoh, but then he kills the wolf boss with no hesitation. And I also like the fact that the wolf boss, you know, I've always liked that kind of trope where if there's a henchman for a villain, like, they'll have a point where they realize they're going too far and they say no to the villain. I always like that moment. And I think it's so interesting how Shen just kills him with no hesitation.
Yeah, just casually, because, like, he's been so consumed by, like, doing everything he can to avoid his fate, which in that case means killing him.
Well, that's one of my favorite things in movies, is when a villain will just straight up kill one of his own men to show, like, his dominance and to just show, like, how crazy he is. Like, I think that's really cool. Like, to show he has no sympathy for even the people who work for him.
And it happens so quickly that once, like, I didn't even notice it until I started rewatching it again, because it goes so quickly. I didn't even notice that he died.
Yeah.
It just didn't register.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a great way of, like, establishing how much his, like, paranoia and rage has just consumed him at this point.
Absolutely. Oh, he's such a good villain.
He's so good.
Yeah, no, for sure.
One of the best
animated Peacock characters. I know they're difficult to animate.
Yeah.
Like,
they are. Yeah.
I was going through the art book, and it said they had, I think Shen has about, like, 70 feathers, and there was about 400 rigs, I think, like, little ways to move them. And, like, I guess I can see now where there aren't that many Peacock characters, but then they also look so cool.
Yeah, they look really cool. You know what? I'll settle for, I want more actually well-written villains. Like, maybe not on the same level as Shen, because that's going to be a pretty steep goal, but you know what I mean. Like, something more than just blah.
Yeah.
If y'all want more animated Peacock characters, they've got some Peacocks in Animal Crossing New Horizons, so y'all can just play that if y'all want some more.
And pretend it's Lord Shen.
You've gotta, all right, when you get a Switch, no, here's the thing, Liv. If you buy the Nintendo Switch Lite, Animal Crossing New Horizons comes free with that package deal. So you should, it's $150. I'm not, if you get the chance, you should, like, totally play it. It's so fun. You'll really like it, I promise.
Eventually,
and
perhaps.
There's a cat villager that's named Olivia.
No way.
You can have a twinsy.
Now, is there one named Esmeralda?
I don't think so.
The deal breaker.
Hold on, let me see if there's a villain named. Not a villager named. No, there's no villager named Hal. I regret to inform you.
It's a very unique name.
Yeah, but there are pigs.
I do also kind of associate this movie with two YouTubers I want to mention. So the first one is, okay, so how well informed are you guys with Jack's Films lore?
Jack's Films lore. Oh, it's been years since I've watched a Jack's Films video.
For the most part, I only found out about him because of James, because, like, he mentioned him in his Shrek the Third video, and I'm like, oh, I guess I should watch this guy.
Okay.
It's been, like, forever since I've watched, like, something.
Yeah, there was a time where I was watching his stuff. I just don't anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he seems like a cool guy and all. I just haven't watched his stuff in a while.
No, absolutely.
So one of his, like, big things a couple years ago was Twitter for Android, when whenever you tweeted something, it would say Twitter for Android or Twitter for iPhone. And
I remember that.
Fun of that. So then every single day for an entire year, he would screenshot Twitter for Android, and he would he would make the original tweet Twitter for Android. He'd screenshot it and then have that as a photo and then say Twitter for Android. And he'd just keep doing it for an entire year. And there was one point where I made this meme, and it was the scene from Kung Fu Panda with Shen firing the last cannon. And the cannon was the text of like the fans saying like Jack stop doing this. And then Poe says Skadoosh returns the cannonball, and it says Twitter for Android.
He's so good.
Okay, that's actually
And I think I still have the video, and I remember the original when I originally sent it, it got like 800 likes.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And then
what was the who was the other YouTuber that you said it reminded
and then
you
it's
of?
Drew Gooden. So back in the days when Vine existed.
I was wondering when we were
Yeah.
gonna bring this up.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Continue.
So he has a Vine that's, Dear Diary. Today I couldn't find my diary, so I'm writing this on both of my Kung Fu Panda 2 DVDs. And of course, that's my favorite Vine of his because, Kung Fu Panda 2. And I actually met Drew Gooden at VidCon in 2019. I was at his meet and greet, and I told him it was my favorite. And then I told him how much I loved Kung Fu Panda 2. And then he told me, I asked him the reason why he chose Kung Fu Panda 2, and he was basically like, oh, I don't know, it's just kind of like a goofy random movie to laugh at, so I bought 2 of them. I'm like, no, you should really watch them. And he was like, okay, I will. And to this day, I still don't know whether or not he did.
Oh, Drew.
But I recommended it to him, so that makes me happy.
That was one that
Yeah, nice.
Honestly, because I never saw Kung Fu Panda 2, that like when it first came out, that Vine I remember being like the big thing I would think about whenever I'd hear Kung Fu Panda 2 would be that exact Vine.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering when we were going to bring it up because I knew we were going to bring it up.
Yeah, and Drew Gooden's one of my favorite YouTubers anyway, so yeah, I had to bring it up. I was obligated to.
Nice.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You guys can keep going. I took no notes for this movie, so this is all you guys.
Liv, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I'm going through my notes. I feel like I mentioned everything.
Yeah, I think I pretty much got everything I want to say. Once again, could very much make a case for this being the best DreamWorks movie. It's like tied with The Prince of Egypt, but like they're both like so equally good for different reasons.
Yeah.
So like I don't want to compare the two, but yeah, it's undoubtedly the best. Keyword being the best in the out of the 4 movies in my
I
opinion.
could probably talk more about Lord Shen and the soundtrack, but I feel like that might fit better as I could probably write an entire script for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like even though I don't think this would be my favorite DreamWorks film, but it would definitely be in my top 10. I definitely need to make because I think I did do a DreamWorks rank.
What do you think your favorite DreamWorks film is?
It's just.
Is it Shrek 2?
I don't think it would be Shrek 2. I think it would be either Shrek
Okay.
1 or Chicken Run. But that's like again my personal. That's like personally for me. Because I did have a ranking. I think I would imagine it was around the time I made it around the time that James did his ranking. So like because I was like watching all those movies at the time, but
Yeah.
I think because other DreamWorks movies started coming out after it that I didn't watch, I just was like, I can't keep up with this. Delete, but I kind of regret that. So
Number 1 for me would be Prince
Yeah,
of
no,
Egypt,
that's fair.
and then number 2 would be Kung Fu Panda 2. But in high school, there was at one point when Kung Fu Panda 2 was my favorite.
I mean,
Yeah, no, I go back and forth between The Prince of Egypt and Kung Fu Panda 2 on which one I think is the best DreamWorks
look,
movie.
even if it's not number 1, it has the prestigiousness of being a movie that I've definitely teared up at. Let it be known, I never cried once watching Grave of the Fireflies, but I did watching Kung Fu Panda 2.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, no, I still haven't watched Grave of the
Take that,
Fireflies yet,
Isao
so no
Takahata.
spoilers.
Yeah, you fucking asshole.
Hey,
far,
no,
too far.
I cried. Liv, I cried for Kaguya too.
Don't worry, I did too.
A lot.
I did too.
A lot.
That's the first
I didn't
time
cry
made me
during
cry.
Kaguya, but I didn't cry during Kaguya, but I love Kaguya. I love it more
No,
than
it wasn't until the end. It wasn't until the end credits that I just started sobbing. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I just like when I finally like realized the weight of what had happened. I had just broken down because I'm like,
It's a great film.
This feels inhuman. Like it's like inhuman levels. Of
it's
good.
so
Like,
good.
I don't.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get an hour-long tangent on why Kaguya is like one of my top 3 favorite films. That'll be a topic for.
We've already done an episode on it. Don't worry.
Yeah, for sure. It's in Liv's top 4 too, though. So don't worry.
But anyway, Kung Fu Panda 2. I do have it on a DVD, but only one DVD. One Kung Fu Panda 2 DVD. And like I said, it has the exact same specials on it. So like Secrets of the Furious 5, Secrets of the Masters, and Secrets of the Scroll. So it's the exact same thing as the first Kung Fu Panda, because this is the ultimate edition of awesomeness, which kind of annoys me. It's just like it's a different movie. Make it a different DVD. I guess it does have a different comment on the back.
Okay, so
what does it say?
Real quick, since this one has all the bonus features, like most of the shorts on there, do you want to like briefly just give your thoughts on the ones that are on that DVD? So Secrets of the Scroll, Furious 5,
You know what?
Masters.
Yeah, might as well. Okay, so I'll go in the order I saw them in. So the first one I saw was Secrets of the Scroll. I thought it was okay. I thought it was good. The highlight for me was Monkey being a comedian and him being like, and I said, that's not a banana, that's my wife. It's like, what is that joke that was the punchline? Like, I want to hear that joke now.
Secrets of the Scroll, hold on. So Secrets of the Scroll is the one where the origin story where the 5 come together, right?
That's the one. Yeah, because that's the one where like Mr. Ping sells Poe's action figures and he like goes out to find them, and I guess he reminisces about how they met. Which I guess it was kind of consistent with the other shorts, because Crane is a janitor in that one and he's a janitor in the other one too, so I guess it works.
Right, and like I really appreciate the fact in general, I like when the DreamWorks shorts like actually pay attention to the continuity. I mentioned that when we did that episode on the Bad Guys Holiday Special. So like, yeah, I do respect that like within the confines of like this ongoing origin story, it is like pays attention to the details.
Yeah. So then Secrets of the Masters, which honestly connects more with Kung Fu Panda 2, but I watched it on the Kung Fu Panda 1 DVD.
Yeah, I remember it connecting more with the second
ironic.
one.
Yeah, it was ironic. And it's from the same director as the Emoji Movie.
Of course it
But honestly, the fact that it's that good, that's a testament to how good Kung Fu Panda 2 is. That like a short film made to cash in on it is just it's so well written and so like amazing, even for just being a 20-minute short. Oogway kicks ass in this one. It's basically about the masters of Kung Fu that were in Kung Fu Panda 2. So Master Rhino. Master Storming Ox, and Master Croc.
Yeah.
What I gotta mention though, so Master Croc is not played by Jean-Claude Van Damme in this one. He's played by the director Tony Leonidas, but he gives him like this weird, exaggerated French accent where he's just like, "Oh, I am Master Croc." And it's just like, okay, first of all, Jean-Claude is Belgian. Second of all, what? It's like, it was just so strange to me. But honestly, like it was for what it is, it was really good. And just,
oh, Liv, I regret to inform you that Rhino is not played by
Victor Garber. No,
Victor
yeah,
Garber
I was just gonna
one.
ask. So I didn't watch the shorts for this. Well, I mean, the only one I watched was Kung Fu Panda Holiday because I freaking love that one.
Yeah, no, me neither. I'm just going based on memory.
Yeah, I watched it like a few years ago, so I was gonna ask whether or not Victor Garber came back. So
no, he's played by Paul Scheer, who was the Disaster Artist and One Up.
Wait, the Disaster Artist, as in like the Tommy Wiseau.
Yeah, that one. He was also in One Up, the Gamer Girl movie.
Oh boy.
Shout out to you, Ketchup. Thanks for showing me that, you piece of shit. Yeah, Secrets of the Masters, pretty good. And then Secrets of the Furious 5. That one I watched on Kung Fu Panda 2, because when I found out that all 3 shorts were on both DVDs, I'm like, well, I might as well watch it on the Kung Fu Panda 2 DVD. Entirely worth it for the context of monkey. So
Yeah, that's
It's a
fair.
great
I
name.
kind of don't really. Yeah.
and fun fact, Jackie Chan's son plays Monkey in this one. So
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, I did know that actually.
the guy who goes, "You saved me. Why?" Like that's
Mhm.
Jackie Chan's son. Which it's funny, he puts in way more emotion into that one little line than Jackie Chan does in all the Kung Fu Panda movies.
Right.
Damn.
It's fine. I could say Jackie Chan's not gonna hear this. He won't hear me dissing him.
Yeah.
Unless
You don't know that.
yeah, maybe he's the biggest.
Maybe the nostalgia critic. Maybe the nostalgia critic comes on an episode, and you know he has connections with some people. Maybe he like get like a network, and then he like he sees he tells Jackie Chan what you said about him. He comes knocking at your door.
If the eventual
challenges you to a duel.
If the eventual nostalgia critic guest episode leads to Jackie Chan beating the shit out of me, I say well worth it.
I will come to Massachusetts. I will come to Massachusetts myself if that ends up happening.
Cool.
Sorry, I didn't mean to dox you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you doxed me. I'm in Massachusetts. Now it's going to take them
I
70 years to find me.
I didn't say where. I didn't say where. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will.
All right, are you ready to talk about?
What
well-
I do want to mention. So
Are we ready to talk about Kung Fu Panda 3?
Hold
I'm
on.
really eager to
Hold
talk
on.
about Kung Fu
Olivia has
Not
something
yet,
to say.
Minion. Not yet. So yeah,
Okay.
I did want to mention that even though Kung Fu Panda 2 is my favorite, I mean I already did mention it, but I do have the art book, and yeah, I was flipping through it before we were recording, and I forgot just how absolutely gorgeous the concept art is. They have like early sketches of Lord Shen, and it's amazing. There's a foreword by Dustin Hoffman that's actually pretty good.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. So
It's just absolutely gorgeous concept art.
I'm getting rid of this DVD because, again, this movie, I respect it so much. I need it on something higher than the DVD Ultimate Edition of Awesomeness. So, but honestly, I might also grab that book. That sounds awesome. Like,
It is out of print,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
I think last time I checked,
It's probably
going
gonna
to
be
expensive.
It's probably gonna be really
yeah.
expensive.
You know what? I should probably read through my Star Wars coffee table book and my Art of Ralph Bakshi book first. So once I get through those, then I'll get the Kung Fu Panda 2 book.
Wait, Hal, do you own the original trilogy? The original version of the original trilogy on physical by any chance?
Various versions, yes. I have a lot of versions of Star Wars. Those episodes are going to take a while because there's a lot to talk about with those.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was going to say that.
We should just bring everybody on for the Star Wars episodes, honestly.
Oh, dude.
Where we at?
So I will say that yeah, even though I only have in terms of physical media, I only have the art book for Kung Fu Panda 2. I do want to get the Blu-ray at some point.
Mm-hmm,
I
definitely.
did borrow it from my uncle for a while. I had it for a few months, and that's how I was able to rewatch it like once a week back in high school. But I need to buy it for myself.
You need your own version to watch once a week.
Exactly, and I do want to listen to the director's commentary with Jennifer Yan Nelson. So
that could be interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
And Yinsed, your DVD?
Again, just a regular, normal DVD, no Blu-ray, no 4K. Although, again, I do want to get all three of the original movies on like a high-quality physical copy at some
they
point.
do have like a 3-pack that I wanted to buy.
Yeah, I did know that
Yeah.
actually.
I was gonna buy it for the sake of this video, but Yin says, like you, I am also a broke college student.
Right.
All right, then. Kung Fu Panda 3
Kung Fu
time.
Panda 3? Okay. So I remember, I said that I was going to drop like what might be one of my most controversial film takes ever. So I want to hear your thoughts on this, on your two thoughts on this movie first before I say what I'm going to say.
Oh, no. Well,
I feel
all
like
right.
I already heard you. I feel like I know what you're gonna say, but how you go first?
All right, I'll say this. I think up until recently, this was the weakest. But when I say that, I do still like this movie, you know, even with its issues. I think this one definitely has the most issues, again, up until recently. But I still think there is that, the core of this movie is still, like, it's still, like, these same characters that we've grown and loved. Like, the animation is easily the best. I think this is the best looking Kung Fu Panda movies out of all of them.
For me, it's kind of hard to debate that, but like maybe.
I don't know, like the Spirit Realm stuff.
I mean, I feel like that's
the
kind
Spirit
of
Realm is just oh my gosh.
Yeah.
True. I do feel like that would kind of somewhat be a little bit unfair because bear in mind, like there's like even an 8-year gap between the first and the second film, so it does seem a little bit like by the standards. But that didn't take away from the fact that 3 is very much
I think it is a very gorgeous film. Yeah. So again,
later,
as many issues as I have, and I'm going to get into them, I still think this is a movie that has worth in my eyes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Liv, you say your thoughts, and then I will share mine. I will share mine.
Okay, so for the longest time, I did have it at 4.5, and then because of this recent rewatch, I did kind of bring it down to 4 because I think I just lamented how it, what could have been, how it could have been as dark as Kung Fu Panda 2 and stuff in the Panda Village is still kind of meandering, like it kind of meanders, but I personally still believe it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
The animation, of course, is gorgeous. It gives the franchise a satisfying ending, and it's cool they brought back Oogway, and actually in a satisfying way.
Oh yeah. No, I was thinking about that. It's just like, oh, you're gonna bring back Oogway? Like, ugh, I hate when they bring back characters, but no, they did it justice. I have no problems with them bringing back Oogway. It was handled beautifully.
Yeah, and then this one I also saw in theaters, and I do remember smiling. I don't think I stopped smiling for the first 30 minutes because I was just so happy to see these characters back on the big screen.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically, I think with the recent edition, I don't think it's the weakest anymore, but I still believe it's very good.
Yeah.
That being said, Yinsed.
Okay. Before I say what I'm going to say, I just want you to know that I have a lot, and I mean a lot, of arguments for why I feel this way. And it wasn't until this most recent rewatch that I was finally ready to admit this to myself.
Uh-huh.
I stand by Kung Fu Panda 2 being the best in the trilogy and arguably the best DreamWorks movie.
Mm-hmm.
Kung Fu Panda 3 might actually be my favorite.
Oh.
Not just in the trilogy, but my favorite DreamWorks.
Yinsed was Pete Hammond the whole time?
Yep. Again, I am going to make my case.
Your time has come, Yinsed.
But I will stand by that. Again, not the best. It has its issues. I will have no doubt that. It is my personal favorite, and I'll get to why in a little bit.
Let me just tell you,
I was expecting you were going to say that, yeah.
The Blu-ray I have for this movie has a quote on the back that says, "The best Kung Fu Panda movie yet," and it's attributed to Pete Hammond of Deadline. You motherfucker, you were Pete Hammond the whole time.
Once again, I didn't say best. I will stand by 2 being the objective best, but 3 is my personal favorite for reasons, but y'all go first. Y'all go first. I want to hear y'all's thoughts.
Well, here's
first.
the thing: is like
this is where the conflict starts. This is where the division starts.
That's real. It's getting to be Captain America: Civil War up in here.
Yeah.
Which is pretty apt because both movies came out in 2016. Hey.
Again, I have full understanding for both of y'all's perspectives.
And honestly, and I think I understand. I'm probably going to understand where you're coming from because, again, when it comes to third movies in a franchise, there are far worse than Kung Fu Panda 3. Like, I think this movie succeeds at keeping that emotional core that works so well in the first 2. Like, it's still there. Like, I don't think anything takes away from Kung Fu Panda 3. I think it is just a fact of, okay, this is number 3. It's just more of the same at times. Nothing really insulted me in Kung Fu Panda 3. I was just not as impressed.
Yeah.
I see.
I kind of feel like I already said everything with that intro.
Interesting.
I mean,
okay. So this is mostly just gonna be me.
Honestly, I would love to hear you talk about this. And
well,
like,
no.
Okay.
Hang on. Okay, I lied. There's some more stuff. Like, yeah, Kai's theme is super great, and I found out recently. Yeah, I told you guys that I've heard it being compared to an Imagine Dragons song, but I didn't find out until my most recent watch that they actually sampled it. I wasn't aware of that.
Right.
Yep, I was aware. I knew that.
Yeah, and then also the scene of Poe and Oogway talking in the spirit realm. The fact that Poe is reunited with Oogway, that is the best scene in the movie. I adore it so much.
Yep, I will 100% stand by that. I will get to why.
Well, so
anyway.
I guess the other thing I want to talk about is maybe let's get into General Kai, because we've talked about Tai Lung, we've talked about Lord Shen, we got to talk about General Kai.
All right. Y'all say your piece, and then I will make my case. Y'all go ahead. I've been this whole episode has like been just building up to like this moment. So like y'all go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just so fucking passionate about this. So you go.
I'm glad you are. Well, here's the thing: is like I know I've said before that I think General Kai is definitely on the weaker side when it comes to these kinds of villains. I mean, again, when your competition is Tai Lung and Lord Shen, I'm sorry, dude. Yeah. Like you're just it's like The Dark Knight Rises coming out after The Dark Knight. It stood no chance. There was no way in hell it was going to top them. With that said, I think even though I have my criticisms for him, he's not awful. And again, up until recent events, I feel like I have grown to appreciate him a little more. Now, first of all, the general style, the voice the casting of J.K. Simmons, and and I'm not entirely against. I don't think his motivations aren't bad. I think he has pretty good motivations. I think it's just I don't think the writing is quite there for him. Like, I don't know, he just doesn't have the same presence as Lord Shen and Tai Lung. Had those two villains not come before him, maybe having him just be that would be enough, but I feel like it's because we were given such amazing character and villain writing in the first two that by the time we get to here, you're just like, it's not bad. It's just there is something lacking, and I don't know if I can entirely describe what it is, you know?
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you that, like, even though, like, I do undoubtedly think that he's like is the weakest out of the three villains, but like then again, like when you have people like when you have like antagonists as phenomenally written as Tai Lung and Shen, that's gonna be hard to beat. But here's my personal defense of Kai on his own merits.
Well,
okay, Liv, you go first, because like I probably have way more to say about this.
So yeah, I do agree with how the fact that his stage presence isn't as, I guess, domineering as Shen and Tai Lung. And I think part of that is the reason why, or part of that is because he died, 500 years ago, so nobody really knows who he is, and they make that a running gag. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that might be part of it. And then also a reason why my favorite villain is Lord Shen is because he has more of an active presence in the story, because Tai Lung and Kai, they're coming for Poe, so they don't meet Poe until about like end of the second act, or beginning of the third act. But then Poe meets Shen about halfway through, and there's more scenes of them like actually fighting and actually having screen time together. And I think he's just more of an active presence. Kai doesn't really have that, but then I also do love that he has a connection with one of our previous characters, like how Tai Lung is Shifu, Shen is Poe, and then Kai is Oogway, and then also the alternate art styles. With the first one being, the 2D, and then Shen with the shadow puppetry, and then Kai with the ink wash backstory. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, there's something there with Kai. I'm not going to act like there isn't anything there. There's something there, and I see all the pieces there. It's just not a complete puzzle for me.
And then I did find out. Okay, I did find out last night that originally Mads Mikkelsen was supposed to voice him. And I do love both. Ooh. Yeah, I love both JK and Mads, so I would love to see Mads Mikkelsen version.
Ooh,
that would have been
cool.
Honestly.
I don't know. You know what? I think all things considered, I would prefer JK though.
Yeah, though.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, because you have to bear in
I
mind,
don't
like
know.
2016, he was hot off his like Oscar win for Whiplash.
Yeah.
He was in a lot of animated movies in 2016.
Yeah.
He was in this, Zootopia, and Rock Dog.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
Legend
then
of Korra, but that
Mads
was, like, 20
Mikkelsen
years
had
later.
quite the year
Which
too.
I have not seen,
I
but I know
haven't
that
either.
he's in it.
Well, I have seen Rock Dog, and he is one of the best parts.
Oh,
Unsurprisingly.
yeah, J.K. Simmons, so duh.
No, I mean he's one of the best. He's one of the best parts in everything he's in. Let's be
Including
real.
Marmaduke 2022.
Ugh.
Oh, he's in that.
He is.
He's in that movie. Oh no! Wow. Okay, can I make my point about Kai
Yes,
now?
please.
Go
Because
ahead, please. I'm dying to hear this.
Okay, so once again, I do agree that he is like the weakest of the three. But here's the thing. So let's start out with like his establishing moment. Him being Oogway's rival, I believe, is significant to the fact because like we've seen how powerful that Oogway is, even though he is like a very much more passive character.
Yeah.
But I do think it does a great job of establishing his strength. I also like the fact that in addition to power, he's motivated by vengeance, by like feeling betrayed by someone he once like called friend being ideologically opposed to him. And
season Moses, yeah.
going back to the power piece, like the actual like brute strength, I think that makes him a good antagonist in relation to Poe, even though I don't think he has the same stage presence. But as for the fact that he's definitely a more overtly comedic character rather than just being bloodthirsty and evil, I think it works well in relationship to the other pandas. Because when you think about it, their final boss that they fight isn't actually even Kai. It's the green alternate zombie versions of the
zombies.
Yeah,
Jinx.
the Kung Fu Panda masters. And I think it works better because the other pandas, I don't think like based on they could realistically beat Kai because of his brute strength, just based on that little training montage.
Right.
So I think that it works well. Like the fact that he has like the zombie army works well in like the relation to the other pandas and their arc of learning Kung Fu. And then as for like the actual battle with Kai, I think that works well for Poe once he like has his like role and he takes him to the spirit realm. I think that works really well for him. So that's just my interpretation.
No, and I think you're right though. Again, like I said, the pieces are all there, which is why like I don't entirely hate Kai, and I do see the vision. So yeah, no, you're absolutely right with that.
Okay. And let me just start out by saying I'm fully aware that Hal is completely immune to cute animals in movies. I know that has absolutely no impact on him whatsoever. I do not give a shit. I am a softie. I'm the complete opposite. I love the panda. I love all the panda villagers. I love the unique way their village operates. Once again, I think it's a absolutely stunning location to anchor yourself in for the rest of the movie. And I do think that the slower pace while we're in those moments where like watching Poe rediscover his roots allow for us to spend more time to understanding of how like the trauma affect Lee, where Poe gets certain characteristics from, and it makes their connection feel more authentic. And I also feel like because a lot of people think that the shift in tone is the issue, like with 2 being much darker. I personally think it's justified because at this point in the story, Poe is very much at peace emotionally now that he finally knows where he actually comes from.
Right.
And once that confidence is disrupted, when he finds out that the pandas don't actually know Chi, it gradually gets more serious, but not in the way where the two halves feel like they dramatically contrast each other.
Yeah, I agree with that because the shift in tone was not my main reason for, not liking this as much, because I knew like they weren't going to make like another dark version. Like, I feel like if they tried to do that, it would come across as if they're trying to recapture this magic of 2, which you can't do. And also like again, going back to me being a massive Star Wars fan, like I love Return of the Jedi, and yes, I understand that it's a bit of a shift in tone opposed to Empire, but I don't think that takes away because I feel like it's not as cutesy as people say it is. And I feel like this movie is kind of the same way. Yes, you have the cutesy pandas, but there are those moments of actual like an actual threatening nature from Kai. Like, and you know, like there are those moments of mature introspection as well. So like, yeah, no, I agree. Like, I don't think this being like lighter on tone than 2 is why it doesn't work as much.
Yeah. Wait, so does that mean that Kung Fu Panda 4 is the equivalent? Is this the Kung Fu Panda equivalent of Ewok's Battle for Endor?
I mean, yes. Well, because I was thinking about that. I was honestly thinking about that. How like Kung Fu Panda 3.
No, it's not that bad. That's
no,
let's just
of course
say,
not. No.
Let's just say, we'll just say like I don't want to even say prequels. Like,
no.
I don't even know.
I don't think there is a Star Wars equivalent to Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yeah, no, that's true. Because Ewok Village and sequel trilogy seems a little bit mean.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I can agree to that. That's too mean. But yeah, but you know, I was thinking about that. How like, because you know, me being a massive Return of the Jedi fan, whether that's because of my nostalgia for it or because I genuinely do love it, I do love that film. But I feel like a lot of the criticisms that have come its way, I kind of do associate more with this movie. But even then, I don't think these criticisms actively ruin the movie for me. Like, you know, because again, there is still that core, these core characters that we love so much. And I do feel like they act within character, and it's just fun seeing. Like, I think it's just the fact that, I don't know, the first 2 spoiled us so much that by the time we get to 3, I don't hate any of these decisions. I'm just not quite there with them making these decisions. I don't know. It really is hard to explain because I can't say I was ever insulted by this movie. I just can't really say what doesn't work for me that leads me to not like it as much. You know, like, I don't know. There's just nothing specific that I can really pinpoint.
Yeah.
Because I want to make a point regard to like the thematic side of things with this movie.
Go ahead.
So I said before that, well, obviously this is very much a story of like Poe's like journey as he like continues to discover who he is.
Yeah.
I also do feel like the whole trilogy is about the gradual transition as we watch Kung Fu become more accessible beyond the elites. Because it's starting out with just like mostly Shifu, the 5, all of the masters doing it in the more traditional and orthodox way. And I do feel like Poe becoming the Dragon Warrior was the gateway, the gateway to that opening. And the last scene in the movie, it just always really gives me goosebumps. Like, where we see everyone doing it, it shows not only an acceptance of the idea that it doesn't just have to be this orthodox, it can be anything you want it to be based on your own personal like interest, what you like to do. Because that's part of the reason why I do like Poe, like the way that Poe becomes a teacher. He's able to take what he's learned about Kung Fu and to teach it in a way that he knows how to, rather than doing it in a way that Shifu or the Furious 5 expect.
Right.
Utilizing all the panda's own individual skill sets and being unorthodox, and taking your interest and making that art style, whatever that is, your own. In this case, Kung Fu. And I really do feel like that's very relatable to so many like real life professions and industries like art, film, music, cooking, starting a business. Like, it doesn't always have to be gatekeepy. It can be more accessible to anybody. And I think that's what my interpretation of what Oogway meant when he says, "When I chose you, I saw the future of Kung Fu."
You know, I really do think the reason like people have so many criticisms for this movie is because we didn't know how good we had it with this movie back in 2016. So
I don't know how good you had it until it's gone.
But
no, not me.
No, but you know what? I'm glad you're actually making. I feel like I do agree with your arguments.
Again, I have actual arguments for why I think this movie, because you have to understand, it is incredibly rare, in my opinion, to have a trilogy stick the landing so much like this one. I just think that it feels like the perfect way thematically to end the trilogy.
Yeah.
I
mean, I feel like it is hard to land the trilogy. I feel like we're in the modern era, it's hard to do that because we have continuations mucking up that landing. But like, even on its own, like, yeah, it is very hard to like make 3 consistently great films, you know? So, and that's the thing is like, I don't hate this movie. So like, your arguments, I do agree. Like, I think the pieces are there. I think it is just, for me personally, it is just a matter of like, I don't connect with this one as much as I do the other two. Like, I think it is just a personal, like, I think that's what it is. It's all just personal. So like, I agree with
I 100% get that. Because like, me personally, like, I'm the same way with How to Train Your Dragon and The Hidden World. Like, I am very much like, I get what they were going for in regards to like that ending. I just don't particularly think that it was a good way to send off. And like, I know they base it off the books. I've read them. I just like the ending in both instances. And like, I'm fully aware of what they were going for with here. It just didn't personally click with me in that regard. I didn't like what it represented in the larger trilogy.
You know, it's funny. I gave that movie 4 stars. I don't remember a single thing about it.
And I haven't seen it, so
yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with James on this one. I know he said it's one of the best. Like, I don't see it. I'm sorry.
I genuinely don't remember anything about that movie. I remember stuff from Shrek Forever After and these Kung Fu Panda movies. I don't remember anything from Hidden World. So, how good was it really? I don't know. Those are due for a rewatch, absolutely. So,
and I think,
for sure.
I think for me, for Kung Fu Panda 3, I kind of disagree. I do wish it was darker. I kind of wish, like, I do understand the point of, and it is a good point of the fact that Poe is at peace with his backstory and stuff. But I think part of me also kind of wishes, I wish it was more overt. Like like in a well-ordered universe, we would have, each movie would be a better continuation of the next. I know that's not possible, but I do kind of wish 3 tried to at least emulate some of the more darker tones.
Yeah, because, I mean, Kung Fu Panda 2 proved that it could do that. That, like, you can take a concept of Jack Black Panda fighting Kung Fu and make it dark and make it work. So, yeah, the fact, I can see that. Like, you know, I mean, you've already opened Pandora's box. Why are you trying to, I don't want to say deny it, but, like, it does feel like that's what it's doing.
Like, if you're going to commit to if you're going to establish a darker tone, commit to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, I do think there's individual elements that I do think still carry that dark stuff.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, there are a couple
particularly with, like, everything involving Lee's, like Poe's dad, like Li Shing. I think it's excellent.
Yeah.
I think that I know, like, some people might be critical of the fact that it's a liar revealed scene. I think it works because his motivation actually stems from him being traumatized by what happened to him. Because he lost his entire family. He thought he had lost his entire family with the genocide. And, like, now that he's fighting, like, this physically overpowering, like, Oogway's rival, you can, like, see it on his face when he talks to him. He's like, I lost you once. I don't want to lose you again. I think that's a rare instance of, like, the execution of that trope. Actually,
it's not even, like, an overt liar reveal. Like, I don't remember it being, like, that overt in that sense.
Right, like, we don't know, it's not revealed to us until that
exactly. Oh, that's a good point. So maybe that's why it didn't bother me as much. Like, it wasn't as we as an audience didn't really realize until
there wasn't too much moping about it. Like,
that too.
Poe was
that's
already
usually the worst.
Like, regardless of whether or not Lee was gonna, like, reveal the truth or not, he was still determined to defeat Kai. And I think with Lee saying, like, I lost you once, I'm not going to lose you again, I do love Jack Black's line delivery of, you just did, and then he walks off. I was like,
ooh. Ooh. That hurts.
Yeah. Especially because it's coming from Jack Black, of all people.
Yeah, well,
and he really
again,
does have the emotion in his voice.
He's such a good actor.
Yeah.
Like he makes it work.
Mm-hmm. I don't have as many notes as I did for 1 and 2, but one of them for Kung Fu Panda 3 is Stripey Baby. I think it's
Yeah,
Was that-
I like that. No, that's another thing I want to. I like the idea that the fact that they give Tigress an opportunity to actually like be soft and like, warm up a little bit, like by having her interact with the baby panda. I thought that was a really cool.
Here's a question: was that little panda voiced by one of Jolie's kids?
I know they're in it. I'm not sure.
But I actually did look it up. I think there's like triplets because I was looking at the cast list last night.
I think they're the triplets.
Okay,
Actually.
It was like
I don't know, because like they made her have like this baby sidekick. I'm just like, is that her child voicing that child?
I did look it up last night. It's because I noticed at one point because of how much I've watched Kung Fu Panda 2, I recognized one of the like sound bites of Baby Pope crying from the second movie. It was reused in the third movie. And I was like, oh, that's from the second movie. But then I looked it up, and it turns out that the voice actor is Liam Knight, who also voiced Baby Poe in the second one. And he voices the baby panda, I think, Lele in number 3. So I don't know if they reused it or it's just that actor like did the same take, but those two baby characters have the same voice actor.
That is insane
that
that
baby
you know
actually
that.
has like lines and like that kid and like Liam Knight. I figured he'd be older like within the 5 years. So, like maybe like it's still him, but like they still used bits and pieces of his.
Well, it's because in the cast list it said Liam Knight is Lele, and he previously voiced Baby Poe number 2. So I was like, oh.
Well, is it like how they reused like Jack's audio from the first Incredibles and Incredibles 2, even though realistically that kid would be an adult?
Probably, I don't know. I read it on Wikipedia, so
I'm trying to imagine that right now, having him come back in the studio.
So yes, Angelina Jolie's kids. Yes, they were the triplets, but then it was another voice actor who was the one who was like actually attached to attached to Tigress.
Yeah,
and I think it is
baby.
cute. She gets attached to him.
Yeah,
Her.
I think it like Tigress in the previous 2 movies has been this like hardened, like tough character, and like here they actually get to show off like their more gentle side. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is played for laughs, but they do take it somewhat seriously. So I like that they
in general,
they do
I
both.
just say that this movie's style of humor like works for me a lot. Like it's not as funny as 1 or 2, but like there's still a couple of moments that I think are funny. Like one bit that I like when Tigress comes to warn the other pandas that Kai's on his way, and then Mr. Ping's like, "How's my restaurant?"
Mr. Ping is so
everyone
funny
just,
in
like,
this movie.
Stares at him.
He's so funny.
Yeah, and I love his chemistry with.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it you'd think like again the whole like him being jealous thing would get old, but it makes sense, and I feel like they do treat it like I don't know. There's no liar reveal with that one, like or like there's like no misunderstanding plot with that one. Where like
he's not like a twist
or like
he
does something stupid to like get Poe away from like it is entirely like the character writing is so within character. Like they never pull any of that bullshit. Like I appreciate that.
I do have one favorite line of Mr. Ping, and it's a scene when Poe is back at the restaurant and he's taking a bath, and then Mr. Ping comes in and like I don't know, they're having a conversation, and then at one point it's a line delivery. It's so good. He asks like, why are you still here taking a bath like a baby? And it's so good.
Yeah.
Like James Hong.
Yeah, I do remember that line. Yeah.
He's so good.
So yeah.
And then the fact that this is the third movie and we find out that he flies, but he's a bird.
Oh, he is a bird, so.
Right.
You can fly? I'm a bird, Poe.
I'm a bird, Poe.
They fly now.
Oh yeah, and there is some.
No more Rise of Skywalker, Hal.
I think I did hear there's a little bit of like lack of continuity with something. So in the second one, Shen says he waited 20 years for the moment for him to take back Gongmen City, but then in the third movie, Mr. Ping says it took him 30 years to tell Poe that he was adopted. So it's like, huh? It's kind of weird,
right.
but it's just
movie sucks. 0 out of 10. Moving on.
But yeah, I can definitely understand why you two, or why really anybody would like this one less than the other two. I personally think that based on what it's trying to accomplish in terms of like the overarching journey, again, as we watch Kung Fu transition and as we watch Po transition, I think it is a very good finale. And I think the fact that this was the first film to come out from under the Universal, Wild Dream was under Universal, is really surprising to me. Because in my opinion, it only goes downhill.
Yeah.
Like I've said it before, they went 6 years before making another movie that I really liked.
Yeah, maybe that's why I don't entirely hate this one, because it's just like I've seen the other stuff they've made. It's just like I hold on to my Kung Fu Panda 3 Blu-ray, just being like
Trolls,
Boss Baby. Look, I love Captain Underpants, but it's not the same thing.
Captain Underpants is okay. It's not a favorite of mine.
Yeah, because I mean, I know why people like that one, and I do like it. It's just I don't know. Like I feel like if the books are better, but that's a conversation for a different time.
I definitely agree.
So now, Yinsed, I did want to ask. You did mention that you prefer the soundtrack for number 3. You said it's your favorite, and I thought that was interesting because for me, for number 2, I associate, the soundtrack for the second movie with Lord Shen and how often they reuse his leitmotif and how they reorchestrate and how it's just so good. So I just wanted to ask why you consider number 3 your favorite.
I don't know. There's just a lot of really individual tracks that I like. Like I said, Kai's theme song.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's playing when they're in the spirit realm. That scene where they're going to where they're in the montage and they're on their way to the Panda Village. I really like that one. I'm sorry, but yeah, I there's a lot of individual musical moments that I just think really stand out amongst the entire franchise.
Sure.
The one I think, aside from Kai's theme, the one I love was I think it's called Portrait of Mom, when Lee is telling Po about his mom. And that was really sweet.
Yeah.
And I also do love, I think it's called Passing the Torch, when it's Po and Oogway in the spirit realm, and the fact that them talking again is so satisfying, and the way the music crescendos is so good.
I'm not going anywhere. I live here.
And there's this one cue that I really like, where it's Oogway gives Po the Staff of Wisdom, and he starts like spinning it around or something. It's it's like a flute of some kind, and it just goes wild, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, again, there's some really good stuff in this movie. I feel like, and I'll defend it even. I think it's been given a little bit of a bad hand because, I mean, it did come out 5 years or so after Kung Fu Panda 2. It also came out in January of 2016. So, like...
Yeah, I know. January is where animated movies go.
Yeah.
Never mind. This came out the same month and year as Norman. That's how you know the general.
Yeah, but I will say, aside from Belle, which came out like January 12th or 14th, 2 years ago. Aside from Belle, Kung Fu Panda 3 is my favorite January movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's probably mine
too. All
too.
movies that come out in January are
I know, but the stereotype, it's prominent. Yeah. Like, remember January? What came out in January of this year? Mean Girls. Beekeeper.
Haven't seen it yet. Don't really want to.
I mean, it wasn't the worst January dumped movie I've ever seen. It's just it was a January dump movie for sure. So
with that being said, Mickey 17, please don't let us down.
Well, Bong Joon-ho, how could he? Well,
I have no doubt that Bong Joon-ho will deliver.
Robert Pattinson won't let us down.
Yeah, so... But yeah, no, I think... I mean, I'm basically repeating myself at this point, but I don't hate Kung Fu Panda 3. Like,
yeah, me neither.
I have grown to love it, and I do agree with your points, Yinsed. I think... again, I don't disagree with any of them. Like, I think they're really good points. And again, like I've said.
So you both can at least see why I like it so much.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's one of my hottest takes, but I will stand by it being my all-time favorite of the trilogy.
No, I can absolutely see that. And yeah, hold on to that, dude. Like, I'm glad you love it as much as you do, because I think I think this needs to be said. I feel like if you didn't say any of this, like, people would just be like, yeah, Kung Fu Panda 3 is the weakest. It's just like, well, again, not just because of recent events, but, you know, because it was the weakest up until now. Like, I still think there is value to it. Like, it's why I want to keep this Blu-ray. It's ironic that the first two movies I'm getting rid of because I want to upgrade them, but I'm not getting rid of this Kung Fu Panda 3 Blu-ray.
It's so ironic that your two favorite movies in the franchise are the DVDs that you want to get rid of.
Well, the other two, if I had them on Blu-ray, I'd also be keeping them. It's just, I want to keep Kung Fu Panda 3 because I do like the movie, and I can see myself revisiting it. So, like, that's huge, honestly, that I want to rewatch a third movie, let alone the third Kung Fu Panda. So, but yeah, you guys, so Yinsed, I think you said you didn't own Kung Fu Panda 3 on physical?
No, I just have a digital copy of it, but I do want to get it at some point.
Olivia, what's your status of Kung Fu Panda 3 on physical?
So yeah, I don't have it, but I would like to buy the 3-pack collection of the first 3, because
you don't want the Blu-ray that I have. That's the awesome edition that has a certified fresh Rotten Tomato sticker.
No. And I might get, I think for the sake of just completing the trilogy, I might get the art book too, because I know that's still like available. Because the first one, let me just say, I don't have the art book for the first movie because that's been out of print for as long as I can remember.
Man.
It's like $100 on eBay and Amazon, whatever. 2, I was lucky enough to get it while it was in print, and then 3 is still in print. Right. But I should probably get it before time runs out.
Right, yeah, because you never know.
Especially the cover is drop dead gorgeous.
Oh, wow, awesome!
Yeah,
we did it. We did the trilogy. Oh, you guys can shout your stuff now. There's nothing else to talk about today.
Well, at least you guys can finally ask me questions I've been holding on to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to
Olivia, I'm going to let you start this one out. You're going to intro this one because you have an NDA you get to lift now.
Yeah, she watched it before all of us.
Let me just say that I'm still going to be careful with my words because I still don't want DreamWorks to sue me. I don't want Jeffrey Katzenberg to send a hitman after me.
Well, we know Jeffrey Katzenberg is a huge fan of this podcast, so yes, please be careful.
He's not even involved in DreamWorks, whatever. So, back in, what was it? I think it was July. I was just scrolling on Instagram, and I got an ad for an invitation for a test screening for Kung Fu Panda 4. And I went. I went by myself. I think I was originally going to get my uncle and aunt with me, but then for some reason, the age group they wanted was 15 to 49, and they're 50 and 51, so they couldn't go. And then I wanted... and then
that's like a Lego set going up to 99 and you're 100.
Yeah. And then I wanted to bring my friends with me, but they were busy, so I was like, okay, I'll just go by myself. And what's interesting is that I went to the same theater where I saw Kung Fu Panda 3. So it's kind of nice going back to that movie theater and seeing a new Kung Fu Panda movie. And so again, I really don't know how much I can say because I don't want to reveal something that they're going to reveal later. I don't know. It was indeed, most of it was incomplete. A lot of it was like storyboards and stuff. And okay, I'll just say at the very end, they gave us, when we came into the auditorium, they gave us these envelopes and it said on the sticker, do not open until after the movie. And then when you open it, it's like a survey asking, what are your thoughts on the movie? What, for the pacing, like, did you think it was too fast, too slow? What did you think of the characters? But then for the movie overall, it asked, what did you think? And I think it was out of like, excellent, very good, good, bad, very bad, I think. And me being on the high of the fact that I was watching a new Kung Fu Panda movie and the fact that I was on the high of I'm seeing a new Kung Fu Panda movie before everyone else, I put very good.
Honestly, I probably would have done the same thing. Because, again, I'm super biased. But, Liv, I have a question for you. how different would you say that the version you watched at the test screening was from the actual movie?
And let me ask you this. This also this also applies to that question. Was Mr. Beast in this one?
The Mr. Beast thing was a surprise to me. I'll say that, because
So he was in like the first version.
he might have been, but he also only had one line, and I don't watch Mr. Beast. He only had one word, and I don't watch Mr. Beast videos, so I wouldn't be able to pick him out. And the credits, they just listed the main cast of characters, so like the credits weren't complete. So they mentioned at the beginning, they mentioned the head of the screening, like he said, like, oh, Jack Black is in this movie, Viola Davis. He did not mention Ke Huy Quan, so you can imagine my reaction when his character came on screen and I started hearing his voice.
Yeah,
that was kind of a fun discovery.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I will say I was actually added to the focus group kind of last minute, because while I was filling out the survey on I had to fill it online and I had to get accepted, and I was accepted, and I applied to be a part of the focus group, but I wasn't. But then they said on the flyer thing you couldn't bring your phone, so I just left mine in my car, and I brought a book with me. It's like over there. It's a Studio Ghibli book, and of course it has Princess Kaguya on the cover. So I was reading that, and I was sitting behind the focus group, like the row behind the focus group, since it was taped off. And the head of the screening, he would like start talking to them, asking like, oh, what do you think of the movies and stuff? And I think he could tell I was eavesdropping, because then he kind of looked at me and he said something about how I have a very bright face and like eyes and stuff. He's like, do you like the Kung Fu Panda movies? And I'm like, yeah, I love them. And he's like, do you want to be a part of the focus group? And I'm like, yeah. So he gave me a name tag, and since I sat behind them, it was just a way for him to, I guess, see me aside from the crowd so I can get pulled aside at the end of the movie. Jeez, it's so much explaining.
No, I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, no, I'm glad we're learning about all of this now. Like,
yeah.
And considering how quiet you've been for the past few months, this is actually really cool to hear.
Yeah. No, this is really fascinating. But also, again, to the listening audience, we've known Olivia did this since July, and she hasn't said. You were really good at holding all this.
Yep. No, I tried to pressure her. She would not break.
She never gave in.
And I distinctly remember it was the day we watched the Yummo cut.
Oh boy, the irony. The irony.
So I know when I walked out of the screen and went back to my car, I think it was William and Mordo who were watching Lady Snowblood, like as a precursor for the Yummo cut. And I wanted to join him and tell him I just got out. But then when I was getting into my car, some guy was like, are you pulling out? And I'm like, yeah, I am. So I just waited until I got home. And Mordo thought I was lying. So when I got on the call, William was like, what did you think of the movie? And I'm like, I have an NDA.
Yeah, no, I do remember that.
And Mordo was like, wait, you actually went? And I'm like, yeah.
What a very memorable day that was.
Oh boy.
I can't believe
I remember like it was yesterday.
I was there all night. I was there for Dog Police. I was there for Lady Snowblood. I was there for the whole Yummo cut.
Oh boy.
I was there the whole time.
I can't believe I went to 2 early screenings the same day.
Yeah.
That was, wow. And there is more. So I was saying that I remember that's on the Yummo cut. That was the day of the Yummo cut, because I actually have my notes app, and I actually, like, the day I went to that screen and I wrote like a whole list of bullet points of like details and stuff to remember. I still don't know if I should say all of it, if it's going to be public, but like there is some stuff that's kind of interesting. I'll say it eventually.
Sure.
But yeah, and then
when the time is right.
Yeah, and then I bet you guys are asking why I went twice.
No, because again, well, I'm not curious. Well, are you asking like why you went twice? Because I know exactly why you went twice. You watch Kung Fu Panda 2 once every week in high school. Like, the fact that you like, come on.
I was okay. Well, the reason why I got the invitation for it was exactly how it happened the first time. I got an ad for it on Instagram. And because I, signed on and clicked the links and stuff, I've been getting more links to test screenings. But the only ones I've been to are Kung Fu Panda 4, because those are the ones that are most interesting to me. Yeah. So when I got it the second time, I figured, well, as a great Jack Dawson says, when you got nothing to lose. It was free, so I was like, sure, why not? And then I decided I might as well invite a friend this time, so I brought, once again, my friend Caleb, who got me the Kung Fu Panda DVD, and we left our phones in the car again, because I really didn't want them to kick us out or whatever, so he brought, as entertainment, he brought his, like, Winnie the Pooh Uno cards, and we just played it.
Nice.
We just played in... They're like baby... I think it's called like My First Uno. So it's like supposed to be like a baby version. They're supposed to be like... They're super big and they're for...
The fact that you keep explaining it is making it funnier.
And people were actually envious that we had entertainment. We were just sitting on the floor. So it was a super long line while we were waiting for the screening. We were waiting outside.
Yeah.
It was a super long line, and I still kind of pressured into like getting there early just in case. And people were envious that we were playing Uno. And because he had it for so long, there were a bunch of cards that were lost, so it was a pretty small stack. We had to keep reloading the deck. Any other questions?
I was just going to say, any other details about this insane game of Winnie the Pooh Uno? What about the actual film? Were there any big changes that you noticed upon?
Oh, okay. So it was an improvement over... Yeah, I guess technically it was an improvement over the first time I saw it, even though the test screenings were like 2 months apart for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, technically the second time around it was better than the first, but that's because I saw it the second time. I was more realistic with my opinions on the movie, so I was like, okay, it's not... I didn't have that high compared to the first time, so on the survey I just said it was good. Yeah, and then we actually did get accepted to the focus group the second time around. I filled out the survey and I got accepted, but we both had work, so we had to leave early.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so you've seen it twice in test screenings, and now you've seen it a third time officially. Let's get down to the meat and the potatoes. What do you think of Kung Fu Panda 4, Olivia?
I guess the same issues I had with Kung Fu Panda 3. I wish it was darker. I do see a lot of potential in the Chameleon being as good as Lord Shen or like some of the other DreamWorks villains like Ramesses.
Well, here's the thing. Since we've opened up with our discussions for each of the villains for the first three movies, let's do that for this one. Because I personally think that the Chameleon is, in my opinion, by far the worst part about this movie. Like, it's not even a contest.
Honestly, I'm kind of there with you. I think not only is she easily the worst villain, we can all agree on that.
Yeah, no, and I feel really bad about it because, like, I love Viola Davis as an actress, but she's, like, not given anything to work with.
No, I was really excited because, I much like the actors that came before, I do like her and stuff. It's just... Man, like, holy crap, they really dropped the ball on this one. Like,
Yeah, and the really frustrating thing about it is that in isolation, I do think it's a potentially interesting idea for the villain, but she doesn't ever do anything with stealing the people's powers until, like, the very end. So she's not
she pushes a guy down the stairs.
Yeah, and the fact that that's the only thing that she does until the last 10 minutes makes her far less intimidating on her own.
On her own.
Yeah, it really just feels like a worse version of Kai, just with a more nonsensical motivation.
Her motivation
she has kind of a rehash
is
of Kai.
The worst. Like, her motivation is the worst.
Yeah,
like,
it makes no sense in the context of the rest of the franchise, because everyone's like, oh, she's too small, and, like, it just makes absolutely no sense in relation to the rest of the franchise. Like, Mantis, Viper, they're small. It doesn't make any sense.
Is she stupid?
Yes, she is.
Mantis exists. There's a chipmunk master that I think they even reference. Was it? Oh, no, I think it might have been the third
movie.
one.
In the last movie, they say
was there a chipmunk master?
Master Chipmunk.
Was there?
Because remember, like
Master Chip.
There's definitely a part in one of the movies. I think it was 3 when like Poe and his dad are like playing around with all the kung fu stuff, and like he puts like all those like little chipmunk helmets on his fingers.
Oh, that's
and
what I
they're
was
having,
talking
like,
about.
a
That's
fun
what I was
war.
talking about. It's
Okay,
Master Rat.
Yeah, I
Master
remember
Rat.
that.
That's what I was
Maybe it was
talking about.
Master Rat. I don't know. Where did I get chipmunk from?
But overall, this motivation just makes absolutely no sense in the context of the larger Kung Fu Panda universe. It's just so nonsensical, and it's really frustrating because it wastes such a potentially interesting concept for a villain, even if it is kind of derivative, and gives us something that makes absolutely no sense, and it makes her infinitely less intimidating. Like, she's not a good villain at all.
No. And it's so, it is so lame. It's just like, they turned me away because I was small. It's just like, what?
Mantis exists.
That's it? Like, and that's it. Like, that's why she becomes a villain. And you're just like, are you kidding me? Like, this is your Kung Fu Panda villain? Like, wow, it's embarrassing, really. Like, holy crap.
I will say I do like that Viola Davis voices her. I do think she did a good job, and I do like her design and the fact that whenever she transforms, she has the scaly texture, which is a nice touch.
No, again, I think she's a great actress. She's just not given anything to work with this character.
But it's not in service of anything.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing is that even the villains in this franchise that are motivated by power also have a lot of intersecting motivations that come with that. Like, Shen, he's motivated by power, but he's also motivated by fear. And Kai, who, again, I think the chameleon is just an infinitely worse version of, he's motivated by power. He wants to steal everybody else's chi, but he's also motivated by vengeance. So yeah, in my opinion, everything they're trying to go for with her, I think Kai did better.
Yeah, and even like the whole like having an army thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. Like, I don't remember a single thing about the army in this movie. They're not memorable. I remember everything about the wolves.
I remember the wolves.
Danny McBride Wolf.
Danny McBride Wolf.
Wait, no, I'm pretty sure that he actually voices all of the wolves in the army, not just the one. I'm pretty sure he does.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I thought it was the same. I thought it was just his one character. Well,
No. There's multiple wolves. He has multiple lines. I think he voices all of them.
Good job, Rico from Hot Rod.
Yeah, Hot Rod, great movie. Now, just so we're on the same page here, there are parts of this movie that I do enjoy, and overall that I would say I had a good time. It's not bad, it's just frustratingly mediocre.
Frustrating is a very good description.
Yeah, and it's made even worse by the fact with all the information about the production that came out on Twitter. That just made the whole thing even more worse.
Right. Oh, I think it's a good thing we waited to record this episode after.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
We'd be here for hours if we went into all my issues with that.
I mean, we're already 3 hours
Okay, we have been here for a while.
Well, here's the thing, is even before that stuff came out, I was I could see that there was production trouble, even just looking at the movie when watching it. I was just like, huh. I can feel that this was a case of nobody corporate meddling, whether that was because of the director or the actual DreamWorks. I mean, it was because of the director, because it was the fucking Surviving Christmas director. Let's be real.
He's the guy that directed Alvin and the Chipmunks Shipwrecked.
Yeah.
And Sky High.
We cannot let this guy near this franchise again.
It's so funny that during our Surviving Christmas episode, me, Buster, and William, I think it was William who basically looked at his filmography and said, this is definitely a director for hire. And I remember us being director for hire. And then after watching Kung Fu Panda 4, it's okay, that is absolutely the case here, because wow.
So I am currently writing my script for this video, or for my review for Kung Fu Panda 4. And the more I write, the more I think about it, the more I'm realizing the more I am realizing the issues with it, and the fact that once they arrived at Juniper City, there's like a solid, 20 or so minutes where it's just a rehash of Kung Fu Panda 2, because Juniper City is basically just a diet Gongmen city.
It is at least a very visually stimulating location. Like, it's still animated very nicely. I also like the idea of Po being put in a position where not everybody knows that he's the Dragon Warrior. But even then, I don't think the joke is well set up.
No.
Yeah.
It made me appreciate the gag in the third movie where people don't remember Kai, because it was like that there it made sense. And then in here, it's just
because Kai's like thousands of years old.
Yeah. But then in here, when Po has saved China countless times and is
literally the bridge between the physical
Yeah, because he saved the world on multiple occasions. Yeah. It doesn't make sense for people not to know who he is at this point.
No, it doesn't. And it's just for a cheap gag where people are just like, who are you? Who's the Dragon Warrior? And it's just like,
and
dude.
it gives them an excuse to name drop Kung Fu Panda.
Man. Cringe.
It was so stupid.
Yeah. And okay, here's the thing. Like, once again, I definitely don't hate this movie.
I don't either. I think it's fine.
I do.
Yeah, we get it, Hal. You're meaner than the rest of us. But no, for real, though. I do think that one of the strengths that I definitely can give this film is that the characters, the old ones at least, that come back, they're still very entertaining. Po is still a very charming, entertaining, and likable protagonist. I also still really like Shifu whenever he's given screen time. Lee and Mr. Ping I'm glad that they gave them a bit of an elevated role, so they're allowed to, because their chemistry is absolutely excellent. I will say, though, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the one where they all go to that restaurant and they,
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, the aftermath where Lee had to pretend to be brave in order to save Mr. Ping, that was giving off serious Walter White
when he
energy.
ate the, chess pieces and he spat out teeth.
Yeah, and again, it felt like Bryan Cranston was channeling his inner Breaking Bad with that. Plus, I'd say the animation and score are both up to standards with the rest of the franchise.
I hate any of those aspects. I mean, I don't hate Poe in this movie, but I do feel as though we're back to square one with him. I feel like we've just been doing the same thing over and over again. It's and I get it. I'm not saying, change Poe's character where he's now serious. Obviously, you want him to be this bubbly personality.
Yeah, no,
just
he's
make him
still
more
entertaining, but he's not compelling like he was in the original 3.
Yeah, it feels like the same character we've seen over and over again. It's just we need a little more progression than this.
Yeah, what I said back for 3 is that, I kind of wished, basically for this, I guess I have the same issues with 3 and 4, is that I wish you could tell he lived through the past experiences of 1 and 2, but you can't really tell.
Yes.
That's basically what I'm trying to get to. I wish he was more nuanced and you could tell he actually grew, not just, starting back as an episodic series or whatever.
Now, what I'm curious about, Hal, is what are your thoughts on Awkwafina's character, on Gem?
So, I mean, as the resident Awkwafina hater, I didn't hate her, but I'm not entirely convinced of her replacing the Furious 5. When people got really mad with the first trailer that, the lack of Furious 5, and I was like, okay, then that must mean the characters we're getting are the greatest goddamn characters that Kung Fu Panda's ever written then, right?
Wrong. So wrong. And okay, to be fair, I do think that this is definitely one of her more... I don't hate Awkwafina as much as everybody else, at least not in terms as an actress. Mm-hmm. It's not Raya and the Last Dragon levels of bad.
No, it's definitely not the worst example of why I don't like her, but it definitely shows off her weaknesses as to why I'm not a fan of her.
And I will say, imagine how I felt when the trailer came out and everyone was freaking out about the Furious 5 and I couldn't say anything.
I will also say, I feel like she does, I don't know, this is the first time I've ever felt this distracted by a celebrity voice in one of these movies. Because, I mean, yes, you'd recognize Seth Rogen and David Cross in the other movies, but like,
yeah, no, usually this franchise is normally good with casting, but this time it just felt like really off.
Well, there's like this one part where that like really bothered me. I guess it was a small part, so it's weird that it's annoying me so much, but it just really did annoy me because of the way she said it. There's that part where like Shifu finds Poe and her like talking in the jail.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Go away, squirrel," and he's like, "I'm actually a red panda," and she goes, "I love that for you," and I was just like,
cringe.
That's like, it was like, because like even though the first 3 movies had their moments of like lull comedy, like this was the first time where I'm like, oh, that's gonna date this like real badly, you know?
Yeah. And then I will say, for my thoughts on her, I'm not an Awkwafina hater like Hal, because as I previously mentioned, Crazy Rich Asians was what cemented my love for Michelle Yeoh, and there was at one point I did love Awkwafina. Like, she is great in dramatic roles like The Farewell, and I have realized over the years that like the critiques toward her are pretty valid. I do wish they casted someone else, but also because I don't hate her, I don't think she's terrible. It's just
I think
for me, and I think part of the reason why I think people are developing such bad will for her is the constant overexposure, and she's not a bad actress. She just very much she keeps getting cast in overtly comedic roles.
Her comedic roles are the most successful, so...
Yeah, but I think that's the main problem, because her type of comedy, it's very heavily reliant on her voice. Like, the fact that she sounds a certain way, and it gets exhausting after a while. But again, I don't think she's a bad actress.
Yeah, it is entirely a personal thing with me. Like, it is entirely fair because I have not seen her in a role where I love her. You know, I've had actors that I'm annoyed by seeing them everywhere. Like, for a while, like, I was annoyed with seeing Tiffany Haddish in a lot of things.
Oh,
but then
me too.
But then I saw her in that Eric Andre movie. I think it was called like Bad Trip, and she was phenomenal in that. I was like, all right, she's won me over. Like, I at least have one thing I can attribute, like one performance I can attribute to her being like really, really good.
And
I
she
guess
was good in like a movie too.
I just haven't had that with Awkwafina yet because
and again, Liv said it best. Like, her worst roles are her most popular ones. And again, I very much have issues with her, but if we're just taking a look at her career as an actress, I definitely think she would not be nearly as looked down upon if she wasn't as overexposed as she was.
Yeah, overexposure is definitely... I don't blame Awkwafina for my distaste for her. It is absolutely overexposure. It's just, and I know there is someday I will watch The Farewell or Crazy Rich Asians, and I'm sure I'll love her in those. But for the time being, I can't stand her. I really can't. Now, again, like I said, I don't blame her. She is not the reason I hate this movie. Like, you could replace her with a different voice actress. I probably still wouldn't like this movie. So she didn't help. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and even if she wasn't played by Awkwafina, I still don't think her character is that well written. And it's made even worse by the fact that she's, spoilers, twist villain.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
The twist with her makes just absolutely no sense. And Hal, I'm also very curious to hear your thoughts on that aspect of her character.
Sure. So, like, so you're asking, like, what are my thoughts on her being a twist villain?
Yes.
It's so forced. Like, it forces you to side with her. It forces you to be like, oh, she wasn't that bad. She feels bad for betraying Poe. It's just like, I don't care. I really don't. Like, I still think she sucks. Like...
Yeah, and it's so frustrating because there's absolutely no way Poe would be this naive at this point in his life. Mm-hmm. And, like, maybe I can see it working if, like, there was a sense of dramatic irony where we knew that she was going to be evil going in. But the twist itself is just awful, and the redemption is not earned at all.
Oh god, the redemption is so up. So that's the thing, is like the first half with her, I'm just like casually annoyed. It's just like, she gets these annoying quips. It's like, whatever. But then then the twist happens and I'm like, oh, I really don't like this character anymore because you've done this for no reason and I don't feel it's earned.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I like the action. I think their actual like fight from a visual standpoint is strong, and I want to get invested in her as a character, but I'm just not.
No, and let's not forget they fucking rip off their own movies by having the tigress hug.
Yes,
but,
they did. It's
except with
so
Awkwafina's
much
character.
So much worse.
And oh my god,
that was definitely earned.
When I saw it in theaters, I was just like, oh, like, I can't believe it. I can't believe they did that. I was so annoyed. I honestly, like, I'm thinking about it, like, had they just made her, like, maybe irredeemable, that could have been interesting, but I know they wouldn't have done that. Like, you know,
especially
no way.
If they want her to be the predecessor. No.
Especially that.
Or successor. That's what I meant.
I was thinking about this while the credits were rolling. I'm just like, man, the way that Tigress was annoyed when Poe became the Dragon Warrior, imagine how annoyed she is now that Zhen is the Dragon Warrior.
Oh, she's probably so angry.
I would be so pissed. But it's okay. Tigress didn't say anything because, well, they didn't want to pay Angelina Jolie, what was it, like $20 million for a line? For a line?
Oy.
And again, if you're not going to include the Furious Five, then the characters you replace them with better damn well be pretty damn good.
Exactly.
And what we got was Awkwafina.
I wrote this in my review on Letterboxd, but it gives very much like the characters that they replace the five with feel very much like you're coincidentally in this location, therefore we have to interact with you.
I'll say this. Ke-Huy Quan.
Yep.
Favorite part.
He's so good.
I actually really liked him. I remember when I first heard his voice, I was like, oh, please save me from this. And then he gave such a great performance, and he was really funny, and he was really intimidating too. I'm just like, whoa, Ke-Huy Quan being intimidating? Like, because he's such
nice
like...
Yeah, no, I was more intimidated by him than I was by the chameleon, if we're being honest. Like, his design, like, he's just...
Yeah,
such
exactly.
A ray of sunshine. It was just nice to see him.
Yeah, he's so innocent. He's so much better.
For once.
I wanted him to be the Dragon Warrior. Like, I wanted him to be the comedic sidekick. It's like, wasted potential.
Oh, man, he should have been.
Okay, so I know we're gonna, like, have to wrap things up at some point, but there's one last thing that we need to talk about. The other villains.
Yeah, the other villains.
Oh.
So, I was confused at first because it does start off right away with Tai Lung just being back, and then I noticed, oh wait, you can tell he's a little scaly, and I'm like, okay, so it's the chameleon. But I had thought, like, then it was going to reveal, like, oh, in a flashback, she took his kung fu, but I guess she can just turn into him because...
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
And again, just like Zhen's redemption, nothing about their inclusion feels earned.
No.
Okay, but I will say... Sorry, I will go back to the test screening, and I will say that for the... You know, they show the Universal and DreamWorks logo. It's fully rendered and everything. And then it cuts to the opening scene where it's not completely rendered. It's not completed at all. And it was just kind of funny seeing that and realizing, oh, right, I'm at a test screening, not an actual movie.
That's funny. But yeah, all right. So my theory with the whole villains thing, and I guess this was proven wrong with the stuff that came out about it afterwards. But like when I was watching it, my theory was, okay, they obviously asked all three actors, and Ian McShane was the only one who said yes. But then it turns out they didn't even consider putting in Shen and Kai. So it's like, oh, so the whole time it was just going to be Tai Lung, and the other villains were just an afterthought, which is somehow worse.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah,
please.
Okay, so I think on principle, I'm not opposed to the idea of Tai Lung having closure with Poe if done right, because since his primary motivation as a villain, as opposed to Kai and Shen, is that if the only one where Poe being the Dragon Warrior influences why he's evil.
Agree.
And I think on principle, I like the idea of him coming to peace with that. So one thing that I think could have made this plot beat a lot stronger is that the film opens with Chameleon stealing Tai Lung's powers, just his, and he's forced into a position where he has to team up with Poe and Aquafina to take on the Chameleon down. And then afterwards, Tai Lung, after they've had some time to interact with each other, Tai Lung can acknowledge Poe's worth as the Dragon Warrior after they defeat her and he gets his powers back. I think that would have been very beneficial to improving their ultimate resolution and establishing the Chameleon as a threat.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Thank you.
That sounds like a movie.
But in general, I would say that, I don't know if I said this at the beginning of the podcast, but I feel like the less we knew about how death and the afterlife worked in this universe, the better, because if the spirit realm is the equivalent of heaven in this universe, Shen should not be there. Master. Yep, exactly. And the frustrating thing is that, once again, I only think that the bowing to Poe, respecting him as the Dragon Master works for Tai Lung. Because Poe being the Dragon Warrior was never a factor in why Shen and Kai wanted him dead. Like, he was just an obstacle in their way that happened to be the Dragon Warrior. Like, if the person destined to defeat Shen was another panda, or if it was another black and white animal like a skunk, it wouldn't have made a difference. And with Kai, he was just
and also
doesn't
Kai not exist anymore because he
died
in the spirit realm?
He died in the spirit realm. Like,
he double died. He shouldn't exist.
He went to super hell. Honestly, I was thinking about this the whole time because I was really waiting for Poe to like interact with Shen, because it's like, all right, they got to do something with that, and then they did nothing. So I was like, okay.
And he doesn't have any dramatic reaction to it, even though he literally killed his mom and genocided his entire species. And I'm like, can't you treat this more seriously?
Have something. And then all Shen does at the end is he bows to Poe, which I was like, oh my god. That is one of the most baffling things I've ever seen in a Kung Fu Panda movie.
It was the moment that I finally decided, this is not
so bad.
This is not good.
Like, oh my god. It's like Shen would never do that. It's like, you don't understand a damn thing. I still don't know what they were thinking with that.
I do want to reiterate that the scene of the past villains, all the Kung Fu masters, including the past villains, bowing to Poe was new. I did not see it, so that was new. So when I saw it like the other day, that was like the first time I ever saw it. That was my initial reaction, how I felt, how you guys felt. Like I felt the same way.
I mean, I was thinking about this while watching it. I'm just like, because the movie was advertising like, oh, the villains are back. And it's just like, oh, are they trying to pull a No Way Home here? Where like, in No Way Home, they brought back even the Amazing Spider-Man villains, which nobody likes, and actually made them kind of cool. Like, I like Electro in No Way Home.
No. I like Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2, purely from like an entertainment perspective.
No, oh god, no, yeah, no. I loved him from an entertaining perspective, but I'm saying from a writing perspective, I think they.
No, I agree with you. Like, he's not well written, but like I love Jamie Foxx. He's
time
just
for me
so
to light my candles. but I felt like No Way Home, rather than treating him as a joke, actually kind of made him kind of cool and kind of threatening. And I'm like,
so yeah, I do like the idea of Tai Lung and Poe making amends with each other on principle. It seems like a good conclusion to take his character.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that.
It just all ties back to the way it was executed. Like, it was done in a way that just felt lazy and kind of desperate in a lot of ways, because it just didn't feel...
Execution, you're absolutely right. It was executed horribly. This is why I'm so frustrated with this movie, is like scenes like that. I'm like, I can't in good conscience. Well, here's the thing. I was willing to give this movie the benefit of being like, okay, it's not great. It's not the worst thing ever. Like, I was like, all right, 5 out of 10. But then like, I'm really thinking about these decisions, and I'm like, I don't like any of these. And like that, especially, just like it just fills me with so much annoyance and frustration that, like, thinking about it, this is the one movie out of all of these movies I've seen that I would not watch again. Like I said, Kung Fu Panda 3, I could easily rewatch and get something out of. I don't feel like rewatching this one anytime soon or ever.
I was willing to rewatch it.
But you watch Kung Fu Panda 2 once every week in high school, so of course you do.
Here's the thing, Hal. You have to understand that me and Liv are very much biased in a lot of key areas.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
No, you guys absolutely are.
We can't deny it.
Yeah, no shame. So, once again, I don't take pleasure in disliking this movie. Like, I was not actively rooting for it to be bad. This is the only DreamWorks franchise where I don't think there's a single bad movie in the bunch. And I do still somewhat think that applies to this movie. Again, I don't think it's bad. It's just disappointing, man.
It's extraordinarily disappointing to me, yeah. I remember, I think it was Lazy did a review where he called this like Kung Fu Panda 4 and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And I'm like, no, this is Dial of Destiny to me. Like that, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's a little better than Dial of Destiny, but I'm saying it's within the same tier.
Yeah, and as much as I hate to admit it, I think the hype surrounding DreamWorks has been really overblown because of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but it's so obvious that it was like
I don't know how
an
they
exception
did that.
at the point.
I've been saying this for years. I don't believe in the DreamWorks Renaissance that people are swearing by.
Oh, yeah. I mean, DreamWorks as a whole, they've always been hit and miss, so I'm not exactly
That
surprised.
is true to an extent, but I just kind of feel like the really great films to come out of that studio are consistently
Few and far
becoming
between.
more, so much more far and in between. Like, it feels so rare at this point. Like, badness just feels more like the norm.
I mean, I was feeling like, yeah, we were just in a very dark age for a while, and then Puss in Boots came out, and I'm like, okay, maybe something's happening, and then it's like, no. And of course, I know people are going to be like, oh, well, at least Kung Fu Panda 4 wasn't the Doom Syndicate. It's like, of course it wasn't as bad as the Doom Syndicate.
Shit! That's
It
like
was
the
an entirely
absolute
different
bare
animation studio.
minimum.
Yeah.
Like, you're
Entirely different branch.
No. Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate is essentially the DreamWorks equivalent of like a Disney direct-to-video sequel.
I can think of Disney sequels that I would rather watch than Doom Syndicate. Now, granted, I do love some Disney sequels.
Yeah, no, I think pretty much everyone except probably Hunchback 2 I would watch over Megamind vs. the Doom Syndicate.
At least Tarzan and Jane had a great VC session I had with my friends. I'll give it that.
Yeah, and with all that being said and taking into consideration how disappointing Kung Fu Panda 4 ended up being, I'm actually really worried for Shrek 5.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has it even been confirmed? I feel like we've all just
No.
kind of assumed.
No.
Yeah, no, because I remember it because it was the first project that Chris Melandandri greenlit after he acquired DreamWorks.
Right.
Yeah, it said it was in the works.
Yeah, and then afterwards, it was a direct reverse decision from Jeffrey Katzenberg's decision to end the franchise. But then once they went bankrupt, Chris Melandandri was like, "Oh, we've got to expand, so let's make more Shrek movies." So yeah, like I'm not. We'll just have to wait and see, honestly, because if they can get their hands on a good director like they did for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Maybe, but I'm not holding up hope, especially since we see what Mike Mitchell has done.
Remember when we thought this
franchise.
movie was going to be directed by Joel Crawford?
Oh man, if only.
Yeah, I remember
If
that.
only.
And then we got the Surviving Christmas director.
Damn it, Hal.
So, I mean, yeah. Am I disappointed? Yes. Am I frustrated? Very much so. Is this the worst thing I've seen all year? No. And am I going to remember this as one of the worst things I've ever seen from a sequel, as a sequel of a beloved franchise of mine? No, I've seen worse, but I still don't like what I saw.
I do feel really bad that we have to end so negatively when you consider how much we were praising the first two and how much I was praising the first three. But yeah, it is a little disappointing that we have to end on such a negative note.
That has been a consistent trend with these franchise episodes I do. It happened with Lethal Weapon. It happened with Indiana Jones. It happened with Die Hard. It's going to happen
boy.
here.
Yeah, I'm resentful of Puff because you and them got to talk about the Dune duology,
And you guys
those
got
movies
to
are good.
talk about the Spider-Verse movies.
Oh yeah,
That's true. We
I
did talk
forgot
about
that.
Well, Spider-Verse is not done yet because we haven't.
No, yeah, we've.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, we've got to have Live On for Beyond.
Yeah, no.
Ooh, I'd love to.
I kind of
5 years from now, but okay.
I kind of assumed you're gonna join that one.
Yeah.
Whenever it happens, I have no idea.
We'll see.
8 billion years from now.
In a billion, yeah, in 2032.
So I will say, if it wasn't for that I'm recording this episode and that I'm eventually going to do a review on it, after the test screenings, I don't think I would have seen it in theaters. I would have just waited until streaming. I mean, I guess it was nice to see it fully completed and the ending they went with.
Yeah. Honestly, I really want to see like a movie in test screenings now. Like that sounds like a really cool opportunity. You know, regardless of how good or bad the movie is, I feel like that sounds like a really cool experience.
Yeah, because my first one was Penguins of Madagascar. I think I was maybe like 10. Oh yeah, I mentioned it earlier. I think I was like 10 or 11, and I barely remember anything. I just remember seeing the movie and really enjoying it and saying that on the survey because, you know, I was like 10 or 11 years old.
I mean, it's a Penguins of Madagascar. Like.
And I still haven't seen the movie since the test screening. I haven't seen it fully completed yet.
Really? Oh. Did you at least see the Nicolas Cage them line?
The what now?
Olivia, don't do this to me. That's like, don't tell me that. No, but remember, that's like the running gag is like the John Malkovich octopus is just like name dropping random celebrities.
Video.
He's just like, Nicolas Cage them. Kevin
Well,
Bacon, we're going to need that victory cake.
Well, even then I wouldn't have known those celebrities anyway, so.
Oh, you weren't a Nicolas Cage expert at 11 years old? SMH.
No. Yeah, I will say, like, the test screening experience in general is very fun. I mean, after all these months, it was very fun taunting you guys with the NDA.
It definitely was a fascinating experience to be like, Olivia, explain. Did you just be like, nope? So.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And most of the ones I am, like the ads I've been getting for test screenings, like I got one for Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, but that was in LA, and I'm like, I don't want to drive to LA. No. And also I was still kind of sick with COVID. And then there was one with The Wild Robot, like I think just a couple weeks before they announced the trailer, but then that was also in LA, and I'm like, I don't want to drive that far. But the Kung Fu Panda 4, the ones near me, they were conveniently close, so
right.
Yeah, it was fun. That's why I went twice.
I'm sure I'll watch it. I mean, I think I did agree to an episode with Biff on that, so I guess I am watching it. Look at that, yeah.
If it was closer, I definitely would have gone and see it, but whatever. Yeah. I'm not driving to Sherman Oaks.
No,
if any of you guys know where that is.
Well, you know what? I do relate to the whole driving into the city thing. Like, driving into any big city.
And especially with gas in this economy.
No, gas and, well, you guys don't know this, but like Massachusetts, especially Boston streets are abhorrent. Because Boston's one of the oldest cities in America, we don't have a grid system. Like, so the streets are just kind of whatever the fuck. It's awful. I hate driving in Boston. So I totally get the whole not wanting to drive into the city thing, but
yeah.
So anyway, Kung Fu Panda 4.
Fine.
I don't own it on Blu-ray, clearly, and I don't think I ever will. I don't see this being added to the collection. I think I'm perfectly content with having just the original 3.
I will say there's a reason as to why I specified into the 3-act collection, or like the 3-movie collection, not the 4-movie collection. I'm not going to wait for the 4th movie to come out. I'm just going to get the 3-movie whenever I get around to it. So
sure. Well, despite us ending on a negative movie, it doesn't matter. The first 3, they're great. They're awesome. We love Kung Fu Pandas 1 through 3. So
we do.
Number 3 is the best one. I'll stand by that.
Number 2 is the best
mad.
one.
Die mad.
Number 1 is the best one. Hey, all 3 of us. We all have a different favorite. Look at that.
Oh, the irony.
Well, do we want to wrap things up then?
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
suppose, yeah. Longer than Titanic's runtime.
Longer than Titanic. Take that, James Cameron, you hack.
even the 10 Commandments. Sheesh.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, Kung Fu Panda, man. It brings out the best and crazy parts of us. So.
Indeed it does.
All right, let's do this. Yinsed, you go first. Shout out your stuff, dude. Where can people find you?
Well, you can find my YouTube channel and Letterboxd with my username Yinsed, and you can also find me on Twitter at the Disney Senior SR.
Mm-hmm. Olivia, shout out your stuff. Where
All right.
can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Twitter. I refuse to call it whatever Elon is calling it.
It's called
You can find me on
X-Live.
Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd. Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Liv Mendel. And then my YouTube channel will just be my full name, Olivia Mendel. And then go listen to the Kung Fu Panda 2 soundtrack, please. I beg of you.
Listen to Threes too.
You won't regret it. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode. I really appreciate
No problem.
you psychotic psychopaths and your obsession, your unhealthy obsessions with this franchise.
It's a curse, really.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. And thank you, the listeners, for listening to today's episode. If you want to support the show, give a like, give a comment. Listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or on YouTube. That's fine too. Doesn't matter. So yeah, thanks for watching. And now I am at peace. Finally.
Oh. So, do you want us to stop talking?
If you can.
Okay. You want to get something to eat?
Yeah.
Just